You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 21st, 2024 meeting of the LaPorte County Board of Zoning Appeals. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
And I want to remind everybody to silence your cell phones. And we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Deb, would you lead us, please?
Go in the chair.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Melissa Mullins-Mischke.
Here.
Vern Schaefer.
Here.
John Carr.
Here.
Deb Vance.
Here.
Ernie Schmidt.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. I will entertain a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes from April 16th.
I move that we approve the minutes for April 16th.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay. All right. So as I said, I want to make sure that everybody turns their cell phones off. And I want to remind everybody that... Can you hear me?
I have to talk into it here.
Okay, I'll get intimate.
Tendency almost.
Okay, so I want everybody to turn your cell phones off and remind you that Board of Zoning Appeals does not have traditional public comment. Public comment is in the form of remonstrance, so you're either for or against a particular petition. We don't accept just general public comments. And we prefer that if you have a large group of people, that you have a representative that come up and express those views, and everybody gets 3 minutes. Okay, that's non-negotiable. So let's get started on that first petition. Petition number 1 is a special exception for Blue Stem Solar Farm, LLC, represented by counsel Anthony Novak. For a commercial large-scale ground-mounted solar energy system, property is generally located near North 250 East to North 600 East and East 200 South to East 200 North. With a central address of 5253 East, 150 North, Rolling Prairie, Indiana, Kankakee Township, Wills Township, and Pleasant Township, zoned ag on approximately 3,352 acres.
No, this is adequate. Wow.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Anthony Novak. I'm an attorney with Newby, Lewis, Kaminsky, and Jones in LaPorte, 916 Lincoln Way. Our office represents RWE Clean Energy and their affiliate, Blue Stem Solar Farm, the applicant here. We're in front of you related to our special exception application for a commercial, large-scale, ground-mounted solar energy system, which we filed on April 29th. Along with numerous supporting materials, all of which is available for public inspection on the BZA's page on the county website. As with any special exception, once filed, we're required to provide notice of the application set forth in county ordinance at least 10 days before this hearing. That included sending nearly 175 certified letters to adjoining landowners, which went out approximately on May 8th, publication in the LaPorte Herald-Dispatch on May 10th, and posting of 20 orange signs along the project boundaries on or about May 8th. This application is governed by the county's solar ordinance, section 14.15, adopted in 2021, as well as Article 28 governing matters before the BZA and Article 24 governing special exception applications. Special exceptions sometimes get confused with use variances, so I think it would be important just to clarify the difference between the two. As noted in Bofo versus Boone City Board of Zoning Appeals, which is a 1981 Court of Appeals case, a variance is a deviation from the legislated zoning classification applicable to a given parcel of land, while a special exception is a use permitted under the zoning ordinance upon the showing of certain statutory criteria. That case provides that the granting of a variance is a matter committed to the discretion of a BZA, whereas the granting of a special exception is mandatory once the petitioner shows compliance with the relevant statutory criteria. That statutory criteria is set forth in 24.05 of the county zoning ordinance, which indicates that a BZA can grant a special exception provided the 8 following elements are found to be true. Number 1, general welfare. that the proposal will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. Number 2, surrounding property. The special exception use will not be injurious to the use of an enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish nor impair property value within the neighborhood. Number 3, hazard, that the special exception shall not be hazardous to adjacent property or involve uses, activities, materials, or equipment which are detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of person or properties. Number 4, public facilities and services. The use will be served by adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highways, streets, police and fire protection, drainage structures, water and sewage facilities, refuse disposal, and schools. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress designed to minimize traffic congestion on the streets. Number 5, development requirements. That the development of the property will be consistent with the intent of the development requires established by this ordinance for similar uses. Number 6, ordinance intent. Granting the special exception will not be contrary to the general purposes served by the ordinance and will not permanently injure other property or uses in the same zoning district and vicinity. Number 7, the county land development plan. That the proposed use will be consistent with the character of the zoning district in which it is located and the recommendations of the county land development plan. And finally, number 8, use regulations. Where there are use-specific regulations contained in Article 14, the special exception use shall comply with all of the regulations applicable to the use. We, as the applicant, have the burden of proof to provide substantial evidence that we meet all of these elements, which we plan to do over the next 40 minutes. After we present, we know that there will be public comment, largely in favor, but largely against. And our team plans to wait until everyone speaks, at which time we will then come up and address any comments and answer any questions of the board. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Emily McDuff, who is a development manager with RWE.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Ken, would you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Emily McDuff. I live at 1625 North Milwaukee Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. I'm a professional engineer and the RWE developer on this project. This is the full team on the Blue Stem Solar Project. I have 4 other team members with me here tonight. Mark Cagle was sick and unable to join. In addition to the folks in person that we have tonight, our team includes specialists in environmental, economics, and surveyor consultants. Let me see if this works. Oh, there we go. We're here tonight to discuss the 400 megawatt Blue Stem Solar Project and request you to approve its special exception permit. 4 years ago, RWE identified a unique site here in LaPorte County, flat land with 2 transmission lines running through the land that have available capacity to carry more electricity. Those are the red and yellow lines on the preliminary site plan to the right. We reached out to landowners who voluntarily signed up their land to the project, most of whom are sitting behind me tonight and here with us. And then we submitted applications to the grid operators for them to review how we can safely interconnect the Blue Stem Solar Project to those transmission lines. 4 years later, after their electrical review, we are close to signing interconnection agreements with those utilities and would need to kick off construction in early 2025, which is why we're requesting a special exception permit now. This project, if it's approved, would be a $500 million investment in LaPorte County. It would sit on less than 1% of all the agricultural land in LaPorte County and provide enough electricity to power 68,000 homes annually, which is more than all of the homes in LaPorte County for 35 years. So solar power, the reason that we're developing it, it is the cheapest form of electricity at a utility scale, even when you remove government subsidies. And solar can also help improve the resilience of Indiana's electric grid. If you look at the pie chart in the bottom left, you can see in blue that over 50% of Indiana's electricity comes from coal-fired power plants. So coal-fired power plants are expected to retire 21% in the next 5 years, including the Michigan City Generating Facility in LaPorte County. And in the next 10 years, 26% of coal-fired power plants will be retired in Indiana. If you look on the right, this is an image of Indiana's electric grid. All the little dots are generating facilities. And this is where power is generated and then transmitted over transmission lines and then distribution lines to your home or to your work. You can think of these generating facilities like gas stations. So think of all the gas stations where you power up your car, fill up your gas tank to drive your vehicle around day to day. Think about all of those different gas stations as Family Express, Marathon, Shell, a variety of different gas stations. Let's say 50% of the gas stations in LaPorte County are Family Express, and a fifth of those in the next 5 years will be shut down, and a fourth of them will be shut down in the next 10 years. The same amount of cars are going to be driving on the road, if not increasing as the population grows and demand grows. And so unless we build more gas stations, you won't be able to drive your car, or you'll have to pay more for gas or go outside of the service territory or grid to get gas to power up your car. So that's the situation we're in, and solar is one solution to help increase resilience and avoid brownouts or power outages. A little bit about RWE. So as Anthony said, BlueStem is a wholly owned subsidiary of RWE Clean Energy. RWE has been around for 125 years. We are a leading company in the energy industry, and we've been active in North America since 2006. We have over 1,500 employees in the US, and we're headquartered out of Chicago. Something that differentiates RWE from other developers is that we have the approach to own and operate our projects for the lifetime. So it's extremely important to us to get to know the communities and work with you all during design and construction, because we're going to be around for the whole 35 to 40 years. So as we're talking about decommissioning agreements and road use agreements with the highway department and with all these different agencies that serve you all in LaPorte County, we really want to work with you all and be a good long-term neighbor. Another reason why we decided to develop this project in LaPorte County is because of the solar ordinance that you all have in place. Purdue Extension did a study in 2022 and found that only 60% of counties in the state have a solar ordinance, and only 6 counties have an ordinance that's more stringent than LaPorte's, i.e. thinks about neighbors and agricultural activities around solar facilities, where they would go. If you look at this table, these are the requirements laid out in LaPorte's solar ordinance. We have met all of the requirements, including a site plan, emergency response plan, etc. And in many of the areas, we have exceeded the requirements. So in areas such as setbacks, vegetative screening, incorporating hydrology and topography information into our design so we can count for stormwater management. We conducted initial training with all the fire departments in the vicinity and the head of hazmat for LaPorte County. And in addition, we commit to updating our decommissioning cost and associated decommissioning bond every 5 years for the lifetime of the project. The state of Indiana also has suggested standards for solar energy projects. So there were a few categories where LaPorte Solar Ordinance did not explicitly state how the project should be designed, where the state standards covered those areas. So we took the state standards in the areas of setbacks and screening, underground cable depth, noise, and glare, and we have met and exceeded those requirements as well. One example of that is setbacks from residential neighbors. So the state suggests 250 feet from any dwellings from the house to the start of the solar panels, or vegetative screening to shield the view so people that don't want to look at the panels don't have to look at it. We did 250-foot setbacks from the dwellings to the project fence. Then there's an additional 10 to 30 feet from the fence to the start of the panels. And in addition, we have put in place vegetative screening between residential homes and our project where there's no trees or bushes already in place. So we're going above and beyond for LaPorte County's ordinance, for the state of Indiana's suggested standards, and we really look to go above and beyond and bring our best practices from our projects across the country.
Emily, I don't know if you can get any closer to the microphone.
Is that any better?
We're hearing you in the back.
Okay, can you all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get close.
Okay.
Hear you back there.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn it over now to my colleague Hanaya to talk about stakeholder engagement.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name's Hanaya Davis. Address is 353 North Clark Street, Chicago.
Just make sure you get in close there so everyone in the back can hear.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
I'm the community engagement lead for this project. Here at RWE, we believe that an integral, an essential portion of the development process is stakeholder engagement and community outreach. And so, since we've started developing this project here in the community, we have done thorough stakeholder engagement, basically with the purpose of communicating project details, introducing ourselves to the community, and ultimately making sure that we could gain perspectives and feedback from the community and then incorporate that into the project's design. So throughout our time here in the county, we have participated in 3 public solar workshops. So there was one in late February, one in early April. Those are hosted by the commissioners. And then we did participate in the Plan Commission Solar Committee meeting on April 23rd. We've also coordinated with the following county agencies: Building, Plan, the Economic Development Office, Highway Department, Hazmat, MS4, and Stormwater, Soil and Water Conservation, as well as the Kankakee, Pleasant, and Lincoln Township Fire Departments. And with those fire departments, we did work on a solar fire safety training. We do look forward to continuing to collaborate and get feedback and build our relationships with these local county agencies. In addition to that, we have engaged with a number of community groups, nonprofit organizations, civil society groups. We've worked with Ivy Tech Community College. We recently gave a presentation to their renewable energy program students. We've worked with them at their job fairs. We've collaborated and had meetings with a number of other organizations such as Purdue Extension, the Farm Bureau, as well as the local school districts to introduce ourselves and the projects, and like I said, gather feedback and find ways that we can set ourselves up to be long-term members of the community and good neighbors. On top of that, we did canvass the community. So many of you would have seen us at your door in late January, early February. So we knocked 69 doors to all the adjacent neighboring properties to introduce ourselves, the project, and to share our contact info so that if folks had questions or concerns, they knew who they could get in touch with. We also mailed introductory letters to those folks so that if they didn't see us at the door, if we didn't catch them in person, they had our information and they knew that we were in the area. With the folks that chose to respond to our outreach and correspondence, we did work with them on design. So that's increased setbacks. We talked about vegetative screening. For folks who had input on what type of vegetative screening, what kind of trees they wanted to see planted, we worked with them around those details. And again, to get more feedback on what it is that we could do to help make this process easier for them, particularly throughout development and the construction process. We then, as Anthony mentioned earlier, we mailed certified notices to 174 adjoining property owners. And to date, we've given just shy of $12,000 in community giving through donations. We've also volunteered with some organizations, and we do look forward to making sure that we can build more relationships with those groups, learn the needs and the interests of the community, and participate at that level in LaPorte County. Can everyone still hear me okay? Yes. Perfect. So, beyond the fact that we want to set ourselves up as being good members of the community and neighbors and build relationships and volunteer and participate in those aspects, the purpose of this project is to bring power to LaPorte County, enough electricity to power more than all the homes here in the county. But on top of that, this project will be creating jobs. So the construction industry is LaPorte County's 6th largest industry. We look forward to supporting that local industry through the creation of 200 plus jobs. That's going to be local skilled labor during the 2 to 3 year period of construction. And like I said, that is the 6th largest industry here in the county. So the effects of that will be great. That's local restaurants, hotels, and a number of other entities in the area that will benefit from those jobs in that construction period. On top of that, the facility itself will create 4 full-time permanent roles. That's on site. They'll work here throughout the week. And then on top of that, there will be additional landscaping and other contracted roles at the site. This project, through new property tax benefits, will provide over $100 million in property taxes, new property taxes to the county. That money can be used for the local county schools, infrastructure, and a number of other services. Something I want to point out is that currently the assessed value at the land per agriculture acre is $2,280. Assessed as solar land, the value of that land will be $13,000 an acre. And so that's where you're seeing that $100 million in new tax revenue come from. But that difference will be covered by us. So the participating landowners that are leasing their land for this project, they're not on the hook for that difference between the $2,280 and the $13,000 new assessed value. So that's on us. And we are looking forward to be able to contribute in these tax dollars to the county, because what $100 million in new taxes means for the citizens of LaPorte is that potentially lower taxes for them, the burden on them will be lower, and that's due to the circuit breaker tax relief. And so with that new money, that provides an opportunity for citizens here to have to pay less taxes themselves. And then on top of that, should we work on an economic development agreement that would provide additional benefits to the county as far as funding is concerned. And then the last 2 points are really essential. This project is going to provide the participating landowners, local families that have had these farms in their family for 5 generations. It'll provide them with stable, diversified income, the opportunity to lease their land to the project while it's still remaining in ownership by their family, and give them an opportunity to build up their futures for the generations after them. And so that's economic development and stability for the participating landowners. And then lastly, this will positively contribute to the local ag economy, and that's based on Purdue Extension's Ag Barometer. You can look it up. It basically measures the health of a local agricultural economy. And based on the research that we've done and what Purdue Extension has put forward, is that a project of this size and this type would significantly contribute to the local ag economy. So I hope this gives you a good rundown of the benefits economically to the county so that people can see that it's not just us or the landowners that benefit, but it is a net positive for the community of LaPorte County overall. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dallin Kroger with Burns McDonnell Engineering. I'm out of Kansas City, 9400 Ward Parkway, Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm going to go through the first couple special exemption decision criteria. The first is general welfare that Anthony touched on earlier. So after the project, once the project's operational, there will be an operations maintenance plan, which is mainly mowing the grass because all the surrounding area around these panels will be vegetated with grass. And that'll be mowed. We're trying to avoid herbicide. That'll be try to spot treatment. Or if the weed species becomes too invasive, then a herbicide will be used. There'll be a drainage plan. Overall, this project is creating less volume of runoff in the post-construction condition due to the land use. There's more runoff is generated from a row crop field compared to a field that is out of grass, which this will be predominantly grass once it's constructed. And we also have an emergency response plan. Like I mentioned, they've reached out with local fire departments, and we'll continue that relationship to develop an emergency response plan to support construction and the lifetime operation of the plant. We have a road use agreement. We're anticipating about 20 delivery vehicles per day, plus the craft that's coming in to construct. So that'll be for the period of 2 to 3 years. The project is working on a bond to repair any damaged roads that may result from the construction period of this project. The project also will have a decommissioning plan per the ordinance. A third-party security bond will be issued for. A third-party security bond will be issued at 100%, and that estimate will be updated every 5 years over the life of the plant to adjust for any market deviations over the lifetime of 35 years life of this plant. We'll also be working on getting a stormwater pollution prevention plan, which will be permitted through the state of Indiana, as well as any other local agencies that have a stormwater permit. With that will be dust control, using silt fences and other best management practices to control the water quality of the stormwater during construction. All right. And then the second criteria is the project will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment by other property in the immediate vicinity. So the Blue Stem Solar Project, as mentioned, will be predominantly grass after construction. And that grass is planned to be a biodiverse pollinator species mix. The project has worked with the Pheasants Forever Club here and worked on a pollinator-friendly grass species that will be planted throughout the project. As Emily mentioned, there's the setbacks from adjacent landowners and from right-of-ways and property lines. So this project has increased those setbacks from 60 to 100 feet from non-participating properties, as well as 200 feet from residential homes. This project added additional land to accommodate those increased setbacks. I'll show that on the next slide here. The project has done a good job of reaching out to the community and the adjacent landowners, and has worked with those adjacent landowners and looking at the vegetative screening to try to visually screen the project from any nearby dwellings. So the project has planned for trees and shrubs, as well as that pollinator species, to be planted at portions along the perimeter to block that line of sight. And then on the property valuation side, Mike will get up here in a moment and talk about that. Here's that red circle there is that additional 200 acres I mentioned that was added to the project that will accommodate those increased setbacks on all portions of the job. And then the vegetative buffer, the visual screening will be a mix of canopy trees and evergreen trees and shrubs, as well as the pollinator species. So with that, I will turn it over to Mike to talk about property value.
Good evening. My name is Michael Maroos. 1550 Northwest Highway, Park Ridge, Illinois. I'm president of Maroos and Company, a real estate appraisal and consulting firm. I do hold the MAI and the CRE designations, which are the top consulting and appraisal designations in the world. I also hold the general certified license in the state of Indiana, which is the highest form of appraisal licensure. Briefly, I probably appraised over $20 billion worth of property. I've done over 300 impact studies, which we'll get into, and I've been active in the appraisal of property in Indiana. Also have looked at 50 solar projects throughout the Midwest, some as small as 5 megawatts and some as big as 950 megawatts. Have also looked at over 50 wind farms in my experience. Next. I'm going to go to a conclusion, but then I'm going to kind of explain. So what I did was I came out and I looked at the footprint of the project. I drove the area, did a research of demographics in the area, sale trends, sales of land, sales of houses, to look at prices, and looked at actual sales, which I visited. I looked at the proposed project, and I think I heard somebody say the 200 feet. The setback is 250 from the solar, or from the edge of the fence to the tip of a house. Generally, I look at it from the solar array, so actually adding another 10 to 30 feet, it's even greater. My experience in looking at these projects all over, because they initially start at 50 to 100 feet with the initial early on projects, and it's been my experience that 200 feet should be the minimum, and that was a recommendation that I think contributed to the 250 feet in this project. So in this instance, in every impact project, we look at economics, we look at appearance and aesthetics, we look at environment and sustainability, we look at noise and odor, we look at traffic, hazardous materials, and negative impact or positive impact to public services, the infrastructure, the schools, the public safety. As you heard, over $100 million in taxes over the life of the project, with very little impact for services. There's no schools, very little police and fire. It's a passive use, a little bit like a cemetery or CRP land during that time period, because you don't have that cultivation going on. Going through each of these criteria, if we had a manufacturing property or even a subdivision, your land use is basically committed forever. Where with this, you're basically similar to a CRP, because it's still land at some point that could be farmed again. Looking at manufacturing, you obviously have trucks, you have noise, you have smells, you have traffic. And then we even look at retail. We look at a subdivision, which is going to have stress on the schools and the cost of the schools, and everybody knows how expensive that can be. So in this situation, what I looked at were there financial benefits to the project, which you've heard, and also the payments to the property owners. My experience is once this is up and stabilized after construction is done, it becomes part of the fabric of the agricultural community. Also looked at agricultural land values in the area, both published and also based on sales, because obviously you heard 1% of the farmland in the county is going to be utilized for this project. And also looked at reports from multiple states to see the impacts afterwards of land values. And actually, they've gone up. The solar leases are significantly higher per acre than land is. It's taken a supply and demand situation. It's created higher values. An interesting thing that I've been doing since I started this is I contact the assessors in every county that has major solar installation to see, number one, if they've had a tax appeal filed, if they've granted relief, and have they been valuing property proximate to a solar array any differently, higher or lower than ones that are not, and what's their experience. And I interviewed over 105 in the Midwest states. No successful property tax appeals, virtually none have been filed. The assessors say when they originally come, there's a lot of concern. People don't like change, and they take a hard look at it. The board wants them to look at it, and they find that they have no evidence of any impact on property values, and so they haven't been valuing these properties different. And so in my conclusion, which I'll get to at the end, is based on this project plan. In my opinion, in my experience and review of everything, there's no negative impact on property values. Now, what's the basis? Basically do multiple things. I do the assessor survey. I do a match pair analysis, which basically goes to look at a similar property that's proximate to a solar array, and then a similar property in the same area having the same characteristics, appealing to the same market in the same time period, to see if there's been any impact on value. In the 100-plus page report that's been submitted, I think I have 25 or 30 examples. And this is just one example, and it's hard to read. This is Stark County. This is by Mammoth Solar, which is the biggest solar project in the Midwest. And looking at and just kind of going through typical locational issues, sale date, sale price, size of the dwelling, age of the dwelling, size of the lot, amenities. And then in the report, we do what's called an adjustment grid to see if there's any impact on having a solar array proximate. And these are just kind of the two pictures of the two houses. The one on the left is the one closest to the solar array. The one on the right is not. And then this is just kind of a map showing, and again, these are in significant detail in my report. We talked about the assessor survey, literature review. There's a lot of information on the internet. Most of it are blogs, opinions. There's been 3 peer-reviewed articles that have been done. University of Texas was the first one where they basically did a study nationwide. And they found that participants and assessors that did not have solar were negative, had no experience, and thought they'd have a negative impact. Then they found the ones that did have solar found no negative impact. The next one is University of Rhode Island, and that one showed some negative impact, but it was for properties in relatively high density areas with 850 people per square mile. This subject proposed development has a density of less than 100 people per square mile. And this study essentially concludes strongly that any density less than 850 people per square mile, they found no negative impact on a proposed project. The next and last one is the LBNL, which is a study out of California, which basically, again, looked at solar, had some concerns, found some issues, but I met with the author and met with them, and based on going through all the material, that study also would not support a diminution in value for the subject. So then obviously the economics for any development is looked at of having either a negative enhancement based on the stress of the services or based on the positive that it provides. So in conclusion, in looking at this project from a value impact, I'm not here for a taste test, it's a value impact. It's my professional opinion. There is no negative impact for the based on the proposed project. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 4 more decision criteria to go through, and I'll try to go through them quickly. So the next one is no hazard. Our project will be using silicon-based solar panels, which is the second most abundant element on Earth behind hydrogen. It's a semiconductor material. So it's silicon, glass, and aluminum put on steel trackers and steel driven pile foundations. So no concrete, we just put the piles directly into the ground. We have an example solar panel with us too, so that can be come up and shown. They're bifacial, so they capture sunlight on both sides to improve the efficiency for the land that we're using. These solar panels don't have any toxic materials. You can see the assurance letter from our manufacturer on the right. So no polyfluorinated substances or Gen X materials. In addition, they are solid state and not water soluble. So if in the rare occasion that they do break, none of those materials can get into the groundwater or soil and contaminate it. In addition, they're primarily recyclable up to 85+%. So a lot of those materials at end of useful life can be repurposed into other uses. These panels are highly regulated and these projects are highly regulated. So for the panels themselves, the National Fire Protection Association and the National Electric Code govern those. And for the solar system, the grid operators, MISO and PJM, have to come in and assess the safety of the systems every 3 to 5 years. So it's highly regulated as a utility. Continuing with no hazard, so we do a grounding analysis up to IEEE standard to ensure there's no stray voltage from the project. In addition, the system will be monitored 24/7 by SCADA from our control center in Austin, Texas, as well as our on-site operating crew. The only piece of equipment that creates noise from the solar panels are inverters and transformers. We place these internally to the project, so they'll be minimum 300 feet away from any road or home to reduce the amount of sound. From 30 feet away, these are at 40 decibels. It's about the hum of your refrigerator at your home. So with that 300-foot setback, plus the setbacks that we mentioned, they'll be inaudible from any homes or from people driving by. And then when it comes to reflection, we're in the business of producing electricity. So we're trying to capture as much sunlight as we can from these systems. And so because of the anti-reflection coating, the highly absorbent glass that we use, and the fact that we tilt the panels at a 60-degree angle, that reduces glare greatly and captures as much sunlight as possible. In terms of public facilities, this project uses very few public facilities. It's basically the roads during construction. We will have an agreement with the highway department that we're already working on with them. And then once it's up and running, no sewer, no water, no schools. And so it's a great development that has very minimal impact on the local government from a fiscal side. We have an emergency response plan drafted. We already talked about fire safety training. The next decision criteria, development requirements. So this is basically saying that this is harmonious with the character of the vicinity from the solar ordinance standpoint as well as the county comprehensive plan. This project diversifies the county's agricultural economic base without lot splits, without subdivisions, and very minimal impact fiscally to the local government. In addition, we've designed it to be mindful of environmentally sensitive areas such as the Little Kankakee River that flows through the western portion of the site. We have setbacks of 100 feet from the river and 80 feet from the floodway. In terms of decision criteria 6, the ordinance, this is a temporary land use. So all of the landowners who have signed up and who live in this neighborhood, they intend to farm this land 35 years from now. And so we have a decommissioning plan in place. We will take out all the equipment, restore the site, and we will keep topsoil on site and generally in place by planting the seed mix early before driving any piles into the ground for the panels, doing minimal grading. We pick this land largely because it's flat, and like I said, not using concrete as foundation. Number 7, land development plan. So this project will allow the property to remain zoned as agriculture. These landowners will be farming the sun instead of farming corn or soybean. Corn grows to about 5-6 feet. Solar panels are about 5-6 feet off the ground, so it should look pretty similar from a height standpoint. In terms of the seed mix, we talked about Pheasants Forever putting that together. That'll be native flowers and grasses. This will improve soil biodiversity and nutrient base over time and improve water retention. And additionally, there are a bunch of partnership opportunities that we are more than happy to look into and are already in discussions about. Inside the project fence, we can do things like sheep grazing. Some of our landowners are going to continue farming around the solar panels, and we've been talking to Purdue Extension about doing research on soil quality before, during, and after the project. And then outside of the project fence, because of the setbacks from the river, from residential homes, non-participating property lines, we have almost 1,000 acres that we can work with folks on farming. That could be community gardening space for nonprofits such as 4-H, local food pantries. Last but not least, this project shall comply with all county, state, and federal regulations. And this is an image of our pollinator-friendly native seed mix. As a reminder, this is required by LaPorte County Solar Ordinance, and it's an additional benefit to the project. It'll be 2,400 acres of biodiverse flowers and grasses that will improve the soil quality for future farming. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are you ready to come back up, Anthony? Do you have any follow-up? Okay, so I know we have a lot of people this evening that want to remonstrate tonight. Like I said earlier, if you have a group and you have a spokesperson that can come up and speak for your group, that would be wonderful. Let's start with who in the front row would like to speak.
I've got a handout here for you as well. We're referring to as we speak. Thanks.
If you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, of course. My name is Jason Kuchme. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Snyder, Morgan, and Kuchme, 4211 Clubview Drive, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I've got some prepared remarks here, and I was told that initially I had more time, but since I don't, and we only have 3 minutes, I'm going to have other folks pick up where I left off, so may sound awkward, but they're going to be completing what I had to say. Just by way of background, I've been heavily involved in solar issues for the past several years in more than 20 counties throughout the state of Indiana. My representation has included all manner of litigation involving solar issues. It's been revisions to ordinances, tax abatement proceedings, special exception proceedings, IURC proceedings, and so on. I've seen a lot of ordinances. I've heard a lot of arguments. I've seen what commercial solar can do to a county, including division among the residents, loss of jobs, and the removal of many thousands of acres of farmland from production. Just one of these projects alone utilizes thousands of acres. They have hundreds of thousands of the giant panels, the substations, the cables, the converters, inverters, and everything else that goes into it. These are industrial utility plants. So I don't want to make any mistake about that. These are industrial utility plants that change the face of a county long term. One thing I see a lot of times, you've got the leaseholders or even the solar companies, they argue, well, folks can do whatever they please. It's their property. They can do what they want. Well, it's not that true, and it's not that simple. I mean, that's why we have zoning ordinances. We separate incompatible uses. We put restrictions on certain developments in order to minimize the impact to the neighboring property. Neighbors obviously have property rights as well. And that's why you have to consider the special exception criteria in your zoning ordinance. And that's why the application cannot be approved if even one of those criteria is not established. Commercial solar is not a permitted use under your ordinance. One lawsuit that I've been involved with involved the Mammoth Solar Project over in Pulaski County. And Pulaski County they've got very specific requirements in their ordinance for a commercial solar application. Mammoth, they complied with some, but not all of those requirements. And the BZA, like you're being asked to do tonight, initially approved their application for special exception. That decision was reversed by the Pulaski Superior Court. And when Mammoth Solar filed an appeal, the Indiana Court of Appeals agreed that application was improperly approved and it never should have been set for public hearing because a complete application was never submitted. Having put in tab 1 of the binder in front of you is just an excerpt from that Court of Appeals decision, and that excerpt confirms that application requirements are mandatory, that the BZA has no discretion to accept something less. And when I look at your ordinance and I look at Blue Stem's submission, it leads me to believe that the result would be the same here, and that you would be required to deny that application. Start right there on F.
Thank you. And if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Mark 5, 7901 East, 400 North, Rolling Prairie. I'm going to take over where he left off. Tab 2 contains an Article 28 of your zoning ordinance and highlighted language and page 4 confirms that the owner of real estate must sign the application for an exception. If the applicant is not the owner, the applicant must sign the application along with the owner. Tab 3 is the application signed by Blue Stem only, not property owners. Tab 4 is an affidavit of consent filed by Blue Stem. This document confirms that there is multiple property owners and that Blue Stem merely leases the property. The affidavit does claim the lease allows the developer to submit applications on behalf of the owners, but there remains nothing signed by the owners in connection with the application as regard to your ordinance. You were not even in favor with a copy of the lease signed by the owners. Without a proper application filed there's nothing for you to consider tonight, and the application should be denied. Even if the application was properly before you, it should be denied. Tab 5 lists the special exceptions criteria for LaPorte County. Among other things, the criteria requires the proposal not to be injurious to the community, that is not to be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity, and that is not substantially diminished or impair neighboring property values. Over the last several years, I have learned a lot of information regarding downsides of these projects. For example, multiple peer-reviewed studies show that commercial solar utilities will negatively impact neighborly property values, and I also include a summary of those on tab 6 that was prepared by an appraiser. The negative effect is generally seen within 3 miles and is obviously the impact of the greater the closer the properties to the development and the bigger the development is. In Howard County, where I was involved in a project, a prior BZA member stated he lost 2 home constructions contracts because of proposed solar projects that was not even approved yet. And while studies support negative impacts on values, you don't need a study to confirm the obvious. People do not want to live next to a utility. They do not want to look out their windows and stare at 1,000 solar panels. People move out to the country for a reason, and you live near a solar, the list your house for sale, and nobody wants to view it. If nobody wants to make an offer, you better believe it's a negative effect of value. Okay, tab 7 contains statements for your review from Brokers of Indiana confirming client experiences.
Time up.
That's your 3 minutes. Thank you.
All right.
Good evening, Steve Hollifield, 6782 East, 100 South, Mill Creek. Continuing on, tab 7 contains statements from brokers in Indiana confirming...
Steve, I'm going to need you to get closer to the mic so they can
which,
get back.
in my opinion, also proves that since no one can hear, we need to be a bigger venue with just this a topic. So, Tab 7. Tab 7 contains statements from brokers in Indiana and their client experiences. Yes.
If I hear any more outbursts, I'm going to ask you to leave. There's no reason to behave like that. We're listening to what he's saying, and I'm sorry that you can't fit in. Thank you.
Okay.
Continue.
As reflected in tab 1, the Indiana Court of Appeals even recited a finding made by the Pulaski County BZA that it is undeniable and unavoidable that a significant number of the 220 homes within 1 mile of the proposed site would see a decrease in property values. Recognizing the negative impact on property values, I've seen property value guarantees imposed as a condition of BZA approval in other counties. Interestingly, in one of my other cases, a BZA was deliberately imposing a property value guarantee as a condition of approval. The solar company interrupted the deliberations and threatened to sue if that condition was imposed. Great community access from them. The solar company, when questioning why that would even be an issue after the solar company spent all night arguing there would not be a negative impact, the look on their faces and their stone silence told us everything we didn't know. Not even the solar company believed its own rhetoric. Topic 14, and when you put these solar utilities in ag districts, they destroy the rural character and take important farmland out of operation. Adequate farmland is critical to our nation's food supply and is a national security interest. And these solar utilities eat up vast amounts of land that cannot be disputed at all. I am told it can take generations to recover fertility, if ever, when the project is done. As a farmer myself, it will take that. It is not simply the case of pulling the panels out in 30 years and pretending like the project never happened. I direct you now to tab 8. These are photos of commercial solar projects in Stark County, Indiana. That first page shows all of the topsoil. The solar developer literally brought in the heavy equipment and removed all the topsoil. Topsoil is what we use to grow our crops and food. Second picture shows flooding with the construction of a substation in the background. Pictures continue to show the flooding and industrial nature of the development. Look at these pictures and ask yourself, who would want to see this and live next to this to be surrounded like this? Most people don't move to the county to see, they don't live in an industrial park. To literally have an industrial utility in your backyard, I'm told that for every inch of topsoil that is removed, you take away the ability to absorb 20,000 gallons per acre, and putting impervious panels on top only makes it worse. Would you want to damage neighboring properties in that regard? And these industrial solar developments don't really benefit local communities as often suggested. Electricity is sold to the grid and sent off to who knows where and when. It does not necessarily stay local. Every solar company will acknowledge this. That's what the grid is for. And solar companies' own experts in cases I have been involved with have admitted their projects will result in a net loss of jobs in the counties where located. Once up and running, there might be 1 or 2 new jobs associated with the utility, roughly 1 or 2 more jobs. Thank you.
Mike Ekovich, 2828 North, 500 East. And on the other side of the equation, taking large amounts of farmland out of operation results in significant job loss, among other things. Less farmland equals less sales, less seed, less fuel, less labor, less taxes, etc. These losses are significant to a community and far outweigh the perceived benefit. I've been in hearings like tonight's where local business owners have stated they've prepared to do multi-million-dollar expansions of their businesses, real local investment in their county, but they will not do that if industrial solar comes in. They say it will reduce their customer base and severely impact their business. So they will just instead look for other counties for their investment job creation. Tab 9 and binder is a study done by Michigan State University professor that proposed solar project in Indiana. Confirming what I just said, showing the negative direct and indirect induced effects of these developments in the millions of dollars. Again, the proposed project will be interest to the community. It will be interest to the use of enjoyment of the other property in the immediate vicinity and will substantially diminish and impair the neighbors' property values. Not only that, but our dairy farm consists of 6 barns, roughly 1,900 cattle. This project will be 450 feet from the barns. The documents in the end here confirm that it's a very real problem, specifically the noise and stray voltage. Cattle can be very delicate to the noise, stray voltage as well. For example, stray voltage causes stress reaction in cattle, which significantly lowers the milk yield. as well as other thing, reproductive lifespan of the animals as well. The studies in those reports and material go into great detail. They also explain how the noise can disrupt the psychological processes, change feeding behavior, decrease yields, increase the number of somatic cells in the milk, and damage the cause reproductive problems. We have computer readers on all the cattle, monitor all aspects. We've had data for 4 years now. All the barns are monitored for stray voltage, sound, humidity, temperature. So all that is addressed if anything changes. The analysis suggests a $200,000 monthly decrease, a 10-year loss of over $28 million to our family dairy farm. This would very significantly impact an already existing business in the effect that warrants the outright denial of the application, or at a minimum, imposing a setback of 2,500 feet from our farm. I appreciate your consideration of this important issue tonight and your request that you deny Blue Stream's application. Again, a proper application was not filed and the requirements for approval not satisfied. In the event it is not approved, property conditions are imperative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Before you start the timer, please, I'd like to pass this out, please. This is an independent study. Certified appraisal. First off, my name is Christopher Williamson, 4102 South, State Road 104, Walkerton, Indiana. I guess initially, I would like to commend the board and our legal counsel for including language in our special exception requirements that will not allow our county to approve this petition or any petition that will diminish or impair our property values. Has nothing to do with the full appraisals, and it says within our neighborhood as well. And that's a good thing. What I handed out today is a compilation of thousands of households and properties and hundreds of solar farms. It is all done by certified professional appraisers, assessors, realtors, universities, and actually solar development companies. It has incontestable data in there that are facts which are traceable to their source that are shown within this study, either in the text or in the footnotes. I did say incontestable, I do believe. If you look at it, it's a very large report, and we have a couple universities, and they have declines within a 3-mile radius. We have a lot of solar farms and appraisers that show 15 to 20% loss in value. Actually, in Madison County, Indiana, we saw 16.43. But when you look at something this large of a study, and it's not biased, there's a couple things that stand out. And a couple are where in the negotiations for getting the permits, the solar company agreed to purchase the adjacent properties. And in doing so, North Star Solar purchased property and then resold it at a loss of 17%. McBride Place Solar Farm actually did the same thing, and they indicated about a 15.5 to 16.5%. It's across the board. Spotsylvania actually, lands that abut the farm, and these were actually a subdivision with no house, lost 30%. But the one that really stands out is a county that did a petition to the board, and they actually came in and reassessed their property, and it went down 30% less. And that was an assessment, not an appraisal. So it's not good. And if you would take your time to look at that, it would be greatly appreciated. And also, if the residents could have the same opportunity that Blue Stem had, this report is available electronically. If you would allow that to be posted and published on your website, that would be great.
Of course, we can do that. If you want to hand that over to Ashley, please. Thank you.
Okay, before you start the time, I have some things to pass out as well.
Material.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
if you would please state your
My name is
name.
Jan Orlowski, 3304 North, 850 East, Rolling Prairie, Indiana. And I actually have 4 certified letters, so I'm going to ask to speak for more than 3 minutes because there's so many important issues that need to.
You have 3 minutes, so let's get to it.
Okay. Very good.
Hit the highlights.
So my family owns land immediately adjacent to the proposed industrial solar plant in LaPorte County. I'm not in agreement for the special exception to be granted. The photovoltaic project doesn't meet the criteria for Article 24 of our zoning ordinance. First of all, let me tell you about myself. I grew up in a farm, which my family still operates. I hold a BS in electrical engineering and an MBA. I am now retired, but during my career, I worked on the space shuttle. I worked on target missile programs, radar programs, and numerous black programs for which I'm not at liberty to disclose. I also contracted manufacturing overseas in Europe and Asia. Solar panels are photovoltaic systems which produce energy as long as the sun is shining. I don't know exactly what materials will be used for this proposed solar plant, but with overseas manufacturing, I don't know that anyone here will know for sure. But typical photovoltaic cells are comprised of multiple layers of silicon and other materials known as doping agents, like boron, phosphorus, gallium, copper, indium, diselenide, and cadmium telluride. For example, P-type silicon is doped with materials like boron and gallium, which have one more electron than silicon, making the cells positively charged. N-type silicon is doped with materials like phosphorus, which have one less electron than silicon, making the cells negatively charged. Combining the two, they produce an electric field. Photons from the sun hit the panels, freeing the electrons from the silicon atoms in the solar cells. Once free, because they're sandwiched, they move, creating the electrical current, which the current flows through a conductor into an inverter, which transforms the direct current into alternating current that we use for our homes and businesses. The reason I'm describing the format of the typical solar cell is to point out that hazardous materials can be used because silicon has to be doped for electricity to flow. I doubt that RWE has a comprehensive material list of all the materials used on the site. Any overseas manufacturing will be similar wherever it might be. Their website indicates units are sealed to protect from exposure, but they are sealed until they aren't. What are they protecting us from? Concern exists with potential health hazards associated with toxic materials released, especially during combustion of photovoltaic systems containing those hazardous materials. The substances may not be toxic while in a sealed solar panel, but when inhaled as a result of a fire can be catastrophic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, continue.
Hi there.
Thank you.
I'm Katie Plensner. My address is 5252 East 50 North in LaPorte.
Okay.
I'm directly adjacent to the solar farm.
Okay. Just make sure we can hear you in the microphone. Thank you.
I'm going to continue with what she was saying, but I do have a couple points to make. It definitely will impact my property and my property values. And just because they said they did training with the fire department does not mean that our local fire departments have the ability and the equipment to deal with any catastrophic events. Moving on with what Janice was saying, analysis suggests that the combustion byproducts emitted during fire in commercial scale photovoltaic application are toxic to humans and to the environment. The risk increases due to quantities of material present and the increased probability of a fire occurring. This is a concern I do not currently face with my agricultural zoned properties. The risk of fire comes from a variety of sources, whether it be failure of components, arcing between conductors, lightning strikes, stray fireworks, hot spots, or poorly extinguished cigarette butts during dry conditions. Once a fire starts, it will be dangerous for local communities. You can't shut off the grid-tied system without tarping over the panels. Water sprayed on electrical fire creates a path back the nozzle. Are encapsulating agents that can be used to prevent electrocution when fighting a solar panel fire. Kankakee Township Volunteer Fire Department consists of 24 volunteer firefighters who won't have the training nor the material to fight these types of fires. In addition, our rural community, there are limited water sources available to fight industrial solar panel fires. The county would need to provide fire hydrants in close proximity to all the sites. Furthermore, the WMBB News 13 solar panel fire on August 31st of 2022, which burned 5 acres of grass and brush underneath the panels of the solar panel in Jackson County, Florida, posed unique challenges to their volunteer fire department. They were advised that spraying water on the fire of solar panel could have caused electrocution. Just like them, our fire department is volunteer. Converting Kankakee Township Volunteer Fire Department to a paid fire department with more extensive training and equipment would be a huge cost and burden to all taxpayers in the county. That being said, some paid fire departments would not have the resources to fight large-scale industrial solar panel fires, even if fire hydrants were provided at all sites and our hazardous material products from the fire itself cause groundwater contamination and inhalation danger. Again, I don't face this fear now, but will face this fear should the RWE special exception be accepted. If evacuation...
Thank you. Good evening.
Dennis Warwell, 1688 North Park Road, LaPorte, Indiana. If evacuation of a 5 to 6 mile radius surrounding the photovoltaic fire is required for safety, what is to happen to our farm animals? For our dairy and hog farmers, their livelihood will be put at risk. This is not an acceptable risk that we should have to face. Solar panels absorb heat from the sun, which is then radiated into the atmosphere. Any meteorologist will tell you that small changes in temperature can cause catastrophic weather patterns. What do you think will happen with thousands of acres of solar panels radiating heat into the atmosphere? Situated southeast of Lake Michigan, LaPorte County is already the lake effect snow capital of Indiana. Combine that with changes introduced by a huge industrial solar plant, you can imagine the frequency and magnitude of tornadoes, thunderstorms, and lake effect snow to increase. History is a great example of why an industrial solar plant on agricultural farmland is not acceptable. For instance, Texas state officials issued a notice of violation to the operators of a large solar farm in northeast Texas. NG North America Incorporated. They were accused of contaminating creeks and rivers in violations of state rules. Spectrum News 1 featured the solar company in a special report last year, and now neighboring landowners who were opposed to the project are saying, "We told you so." After only 1 year, they observed the significant degradation of the floodplain and wetlands, which increased runoff onto surrounding properties. The sedimentation increased water quality into downstream waters. The Kankakee River Basin ditch is near the proximity to this proposed site and may be affected. Other adjacent residents to solar plants have shared their experiences. During the construction process, thousands upon thousands of metal posts will be driven to the ground. The pounding will last throughout the day, day after day after day. The construction can take years with daily pounding and loud noise to disrupt adjacent residents. Not to mention the noise caused by an industrial inverter, which sounds like a semi-truck motor, which will run constantly for decades. It is not like a tiny little inverter that sits outside of a residential home equipped with photovoltaic panels on its roof. And RWE will tell you that the decibels are acceptable. But who wants to hear constant noise day and night for years? Nearby residents will no longer have peaceful enjoyment of our property.
Thank you.
Time up.
Thank you.
Keep it moving.
Good evening. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Hello, I'm Will Fisher. I live at 2202 East, 150 North. It's close. It's within a mile of the proposed solar ordinance, our solar plan there. I would just like to say that I think 250 feet is not enough distance to enjoy your property that you bought out in a rural area. I don't want to look at solar panels being there. I don't want to be concerned about a tornado or strong winds coming through and picking up those solar panels and then sending them through my house where my kids are at. I live in a very open area. I bought my property here just recently last year for the purpose of being able to hunt and enjoy the outdoors. And if you were to put that area around there, you're going to be definitely affecting my hunting with a lot of geese and the migratory birds that are coming over. I think these panels are going to affect the way that those geese and stuff come in. So I'm very concerned about that. And I would just like to beg you guys to maybe put like a half-mile distance or a mile distance from any property. Instead of 250 feet, I think that's just way too close. And to drive up and down a driveway or around your house and have that glare coming at you, I think it's pretty sad. And I would just like you guys to think it, put the shoe on the other foot, please.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
I just want to remind everybody this evening that while we're here to vote on a particular property that's in front of us, we have no authority over changing setbacks, changing any zoning itself. That happens at the Plan Commission. So tonight we are talking specifically about this project as it stands right now with the existing zoning ordinance. We will not be changing the zoning of the property. Okay.
I am Dr. Larry Cadwell. I live at 3003 East, 800 North, Rolling Prairie. I'm a retired senior scientist from the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. That work was conducted for the U.S. Department of Energy and sponsored by them. I'm a fifth-generation farmer and farmland owner. I live on the farm that my great-great-great-grandfather started. And I am currently a farmland owner in Galena Township and own property in Kankakee Township about a mile from the project. And I'm for this project. There's an elephant in the room that we haven't discussed, and it's climate change. I'm also a member of the Union of Concerned Scientists, and we only have to look to the news every single night to see what our changing climate is doing. And this solar project is just one step that we desperately need in order to combat the impacts of climate change for all of us, and especially for our children and grandchildren who will be the recipients of what we do here today and around the country. I looked at the need for solar, and we have 12% of our energy comes from outside the source, so we have a local need here in the state of Indiana for locally generated electricity rather than importing it. NIPSCO plant, we all know, is closing, and it will be decommissioned in 2008. We need to replace that energy. We also lose energy by transmission line, high voltage transmission line, when it's moved long distances. And if we generate our power close to home, that saves energy. It saves the amount of energy we need to generate and gives us more usable energy. The cost of solar has decreased in the last 10 years, in particular between 2009 and 19, by 90%. It has made solar energy simply the cheapest and cleanest source of energy that we have available today. So in the last 8 or 9 years, solar energy has come in and eclipsed gas plants, coal plants, and nuclear plants in terms of cost of production. So this is a very clean energy source, desperately needed and cost effective, and will result in savings to every single person in this room in this state in terms of the cost of energy production. The last thing I'd like to mention is that the feeling for the local owners of the property that are here proposed for this project, and I believe that we should consider their needs in terms of supporting their family with their own personal property and not rely on others who would deny them that right.
Thank you.
Dennis Galloway. I reside at 5216 North, 300 East, LaPorte. How's everybody doing? I know this gets emotional. You weigh for or against, but just looking at what the county has in front of them, ordinance number 2 is not, I'm against this because number 2 can't be met by the criteria of this solar panel. If the 3,000 acres are turned into that, the value of properties that are adjacent to that solar panel. We can argue how good solar is and stuff, but that's not what we're here for. We have a ordinance that cannot be abided by, therefore they shouldn't be getting a variance. Property values will decrease if you are directly. I've sold real estate for 35 years in LaPorte County, and I thought their appraiser did a great job. But he was careful on wording something, and the most important thing that he said that all people of the board should be aware of, appraisers that are not familiar with solar farms found that they have a negative effect on house values. That's 99.99% of appraisers. The appraisers that found out that it has a neutral are solar appraisers hired by the solar firms. So the ordinance that we're looking at, it does not meet the criteria of number 2. It will devalue property owners that are adjacent. It might help the county financially, but if you go by your own ordinance, it can't be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so
my name is Maurice Klesser.
One moment, sir. So we've heard, I have 8 marks here. We've heard all about property values. I think we all understand that property values are a concern. So if you have something other than property values or enjoying your property, we have heard you. We are taking that into consideration. But in the time, I don't know how many of you are still in line for remonstrance. If we could put up something new, that would be helpful.
I will try not to duplicate what has
you.
been discussed, or perhaps what will be discussed tonight.
Thank you.
My name is Maurice Klesser, 4303 East Shoal Road in beautiful downtown Rolling Prairie, although it's not entirely downtown. Mark Twain, with all due respect, said you can make a point with lies, damn lies, and statistics. I think we've heard a lot of statistics tonight. Kingsbury was used by the United States government as an ammunition production area because it's very, very cloudy. Arizona ain't cloudy. This area is cloudy. Not the best of areas to be working in, but I understand why they want to come here because, well, it's a bunch of farmers, what are they going to say? Thank you for allowing me to speak about my particular situation in all this. There are many countries in the world where you are not permitted to speak your mind. In this land, you can. How much weight it may carry is a different story. Usually in this country, mind talks and other stuff walks. But the Board of Zoning allegedly has as its top priority, community members. May I repeat that? Top priority, community members. In my particular case, I will potentially be enclosed on all three sides of my property. I won't mention the dirt roads around me cannot sustain the large trucks and traffic. The noise, heat, and unsightliness has already or will be discussed. In my particular case, it will be intensified because of the quantity that I am surrounded with. In my situation, Article 24.05b, use and enjoyment, dramatically diminished. Property values, Article 24.05c, when so intensely surrounded, as has been discussed, by solar farms, it's a dramatically diminished area. I don't know how anyone can say they would prefer to live around a solar farm than agricultural farms. Article 24.05a, general welfare, dramatically impaired and diminished during construction and after completion, because it's so close and intense. To quote, nor substantially diminish or impair property values. Although you've requested I not repeat it, it's part of my speech, I'm sorry. Are you going to tell me my benefits, my situation is going to be better? Section 24.05F, granting special exceptions will not be contrary to the general purpose served by the ordinance and will not permanently injure other property or use in the same zoning district and vicinity. Pardon my repeating myself, but there's a slight variation to the theme.
Thank you.
Your time.
Yeah, 3 minutes up. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chrissy Vaughn. I'm at 1012 North, 250 East, and my property is adjacent to the 2 field plots on that road. I am on the west end of this project. I feel like the setbacks that Emily has given me of 500 feet from my home, while generous, is not sufficient. And I understand that you're not making arrangements for that, but I am letting you know that being on the west end of that project, when the sun is at the west, the panels are going to be facing west, and they're going to be right in my face. And I also have 2 adjoining neighbors that will also suffer from this as well. I also would like to, sorry, I have not spoken publicly in a long time.
You're doing fine.
I would like to point out in the plans that I've seen for this project that the solar panels will stand up to 12 feet tall in the back. And I would also like to point out that the vegetation is a maximum of 7 feet tall when it's planted. A lot of this vegetation is going to take 10 to 15 years before it even becomes closely to being mature. So with the incline in my property, in the property across the street, the natural berm is 720 feet from my residence, which would make more sense than being 500 feet. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Miller. Address is 988 North, 250 East.
If you don't mind getting on the microphone just a moment, so I can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anyway, what Christy was talking about, you have this illustration here that is basically is what she's talking about. I live right next door to her. So we have a town next to it. It's called Roaring Prairie, and it's named for a reason because you have hills in it. If you're on a flat plain, solar panels aren't going to affect someone that lives across the road. But if you have like what we have, where you have an incline, you see what they put here on here. This is flat. This is looking like, which is out in the plains, it's flat. Well, we have hills in that. So if you're across from one of these solar farms and you have a hill across the road like what we do, this little 5 foot, and that's what it says here, that the average is 4 to 6 foot. We wind up an average of 5 foot. I estimate the incline she's talking about is the total with the 12 foot she's talking about here, possibly the solar panel. This is right on the corner of this here that tells the description of the solar panel. If you add to that, possibly, I don't have a survey, knowledge in that, but I'm estimating this hill is 15 foot. So you add the 12 foot to the 15, you come up with 27 foot. How long is it going to take a 5 foot plant to get up to 27 foot to cover? If you're living downhill, okay, you put it here and it's all going downhill. So this field basically has 63 acres in it. So I looked at it today. It's got probably 25% of that is going up the hill. The rest of it's going down. So that means it's possible to use that 75% of that acreage there and protect us on that west side of the road from those solar panels and that we're going to be looking at for years to come. I'm 79 years old. I never will see this tree ever reach the top of that mountain. It's not going to happen. So this is something that you need to consider. I also like to bring up, see my time's running out here, you also have this paper here. Right, there's the flaw with this. You'll notice that the two big circles here in the center, those are deciduous plants. Deciduous means that the leaves drop off in the fall and they come back in the spring. You have 6 months of no leaves at all. So what you're going to be looking at is the few twigs out there. That's what you're going to have around this whole area here that's going to have, and I figure this, if you factor it out, and I got the measurement scale on that, it's almost 25%. So that means 25% of your coverage that they're going to put in is going to be nothing but sticks in the wintertime, providing no coverage at all. That if anything, this here should be put in the back and evergreens put in the front. If you want flowering trees and that, have put a little extra room and put whatever they want. Lilacs, anything that they want back there, tall, maples and that. But don't block off the front with deciduous trees that you're going to be able to look through in the wintertime and that. We're going to have to put up that with that for 35 years and that. So, I think, and most of these trees here don't have branches close to the ground. If you look at most trees and that, they're shade killed at the base because they're not getting sunlight, so the lower branches die off. So this is going to be where you can look underneath these trees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get a wheelbarrow.
Pat Parker, I live at 366 Hawthorne Street here in town. This is way longer than 3 minutes. I've selected some parts. I did post this on the LaPorte Current Events and News Facebook page that has links to the articles that are contained in these folders.
Thank you.
I want to address soil concerns partly. At the May 1st meeting, when I asked Attorney Beige what we could bring to the table after he told us what not to bring, he said we needed to bring scientific studies and not arguments based on speculation. They have to be evidence-based. So I decided to start I've done a lot of research over the last few weeks. What I find studies of solar plants on farmland that have been done to see what the effects they have on the ground after housing solar panels for 25 to 35 years are, the answer to that would be no. They're not out there because they've not been around long enough to have solar farms on 25 to 30 for 35 years. The studies haven't been done yet. They have not been around long enough. That is what concerns me. Do we want to be part of the experiment? What guarantees are there? Attorney Beige also said the burden of proof was on the solar company to ensure this project would not be injurious in any way. So if this is true, I would like to see the scientific studies and peer-reviewed publications that will tell us that farmland that's been used for solar production for 30 years will not harm the land and that the soil will be healthy for growing crops again. I contacted Mike Carroll, who is a county extension director in North Carolina who works with soils. I asked if he had any information for me on this issue. He said this is a concern to him and many other soil conservationists. In an email to me, he stated, "My point is that those of us that work with soils know that some soils may be restored after work, but many soils will simply not be restored." In his article, contained in your packets there, he states the concerns regarding turning the soil back into farmland. He writes, heavy equipment may be used to grade the site when establishing the solar energy production. 2, trenches may be dug for wiring or drainage. These activities and heavy vehicle travel will disturb the natural soil structural properties and cause compaction. Deep tillage may eliminate the problem, but this will only be possible by the removal of any underground wires, supporting structures, etc. If not, deep tillage will not be possible. Such deep tillage may be warranted for several years depending on the soil type. He said even with deep tillage, one should anticipate a 20 to 40% reduced crop yield for at least 3 to 5 years as soil compaction issues are slowly resolved. I know the solar panel companies, they're going to tell us everything is safe, but we don't have the scientific studies done on this long of a term to let us know they are. And I don't want to be part of the experiment. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Pat Boy, 218 Southwood Drive, Michigan City. I have a statement to read for the Sustainability Commission, but I'd like to know if I can have another additional minute to speak on my own. I will try.
3 minutes.
No. Okay.
I'm not going to make an exception.
Okay, well, this is all I committed to, so I'm going to read this.
Thank you.
Whereas the greenhouse gas emissions assessments conducted by the Indiana University Environmental Resilience for Michigan City, City of LaPorte, and LaPorte County showed the need to reduce the carbon footprint in all geographical areas. Whereas high carbon emissions in Michigan City are due to older housing and buildings built before the 1970s, a targeted approach of lowering energy consumption from NIPSCO's coal-burning power plant was instituted in an ongoing partnership with Solar United Neighbors Indiana to educate consumers and provide assistance. Whereas solar panels and ground arrays have been installed at half a dozen municipal buildings and most of the Michigan City area schools to save on electric costs and lower their carbon footprint. Whereas Michigan City has a commercial solar array installation on Paz Road, which sells its electricity to NIPSCO, a model for successful integration into an area next to buildings and agriculture exists. Whereas such supportive measures and the Getting Started with Solar link on the Michigan City Sustainability Commission's page on the Michigan City Municipal website has resulted in increased solar panel and array installation on homes and at businesses in Michigan City and surrounding areas. Whereas the Michigan City Sustainability Commission has prepared itself for future solar panel and array expansion at homes, businesses, and the Washington Park Zoo, it would encourage the City of LaPorte and County of LaPorte to do the same. Whereas Michigan City has obtained SolSmart Bronze designation from the U.S. Department of Energy, recently applying for Gold designation. One of its foundations is the support and expansion of solar energy whenever possible. Whereas the County of LaPorte has been chosen to be the recipient of solar array investment and expansion by a private corporation, this opportunity should be embraced and supported under the LaPorte County Solar Ordinance already in existence, which is stricter than the state of Indiana's. Therefore, Andrea Johns Davis, Chair of the Michigan City Sustainability Commission, Nancy Moldenhauer, Michigan City Councilperson and Liaison to the Sustainability Commission, and Pat Boy, Indiana State Representative, approve and support the installation of solar panels and arrays within the city of Michigan City and in surrounding LaPorte County to lower the carbon footprint, increase economic growth, and create permanent jobs for ongoing maintenance. And I brought a couple pages of information on decibel levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Two sets.
Right. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening.
If you would state your name and address for the record.
My name is Tricia Stahl, 2146 West Ash Street. I'm the one that submitted the letter to you guys about RWE and some of my concerns. As you know, my background, I'm a retired Navy military intel officer, and there were some red flags that got me going. And the one thing that I know Miss Emily had said in April 2nd, that they were a privately owned company, but they do have shareholders. in their shareholder statement, it said that they only own 21% of their company, where the Middle East is 11%, Qatar is 9%, and the rest of the world was 4%. So my question is, who is the rest of the world? And who's behind this company? We do know that our WE does have 2 trading and supply offices in China. And China backed Qatar to buy ComEd. They did a big buyout of the ComEd. And so these are just some red flags. I mean, I don't have any, I did do my notes, my footnotes, and documented all this information. And on the data sheet, they did say, and in her presentation, they said that they do use JA Solar, which is a China-based company, and that CEO and chairman of that solar company has actually been a member of the CCP for 40 years. That's a red flag. Let's see, what else do I have in here? They did say that they were going to build, JA Solar was going to build a plant to build them in Phoenix, Arizona. But as of April of 2024, that construction has yet been started. And JA Solar has also been in lawsuits a lot with the Department of Commerce for anti-dumping. So they're not competing on a level playing field, doing a lot of tariffs, getting around tariffs and whatnot. And the Uyghur Act, this is what Joe Biden passed in December 2021. The Uyghur Act is to deny any product coming into the United States that was forced labor. However, they did put a proclamation in it on June 6th of 2022 to last for 2 years, which brings us to June 6th of 2024. So, are they going to be able to get their supplies, or is the Custom and Border Patrol going to let their supplies come through? So there's those kind of questions that you need to look at as well. And the other concern I had a call from Representative Kolb today about the military bases, and our military bases in this area are not on that list. So
Thank you.
there's that. All right, thank you.
You brought a very interesting perspective. Is that other stuff from Pat Boyd? Jeez.
Hello, I'm Mark
Hi there.
Hutchison. I live at 4892 East Shoal Road. My house is basically going to be in the middle of this project.
I'm going to need to get you to get closer to that
Oh, sorry.
microphone, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So my property is basically in the middle of this project. So I've been trying to educate myself. And I think you've heard already that they're saying there's over 200 jobs for the 2 or 3 years of this construction. 79 million for local economy over the life of the project. 70 to 110 million dollars of new property taxes that are going to come in. I know it's going to be an inconvenience for me. I live on a gravel road. I get 3 cars a day, and one of them's the mailman. But I'm willing to put up with it for the benefits I believe it's going to bring our community, and I support this program. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Could I get a show of hands? How many remonstrators do we have remaining? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is fancy.
Good evening. Brian Flory, 1705 Florida Drive, Fort Wayne. And I am the Northern Indiana organizer for Solar United Neighbors that Representative Boyd mentioned a few moments ago. We are a nonprofit organization that focuses on consumer education and advocacy, primarily focusing on residential solar. We worked extensively with the Michigan City Sustainability Commission as well as other nonprofit organizations and solar supporters in LaPorte County. I was invited to speak about about the benefits of solar in general by the Sustainability Commission, and as our organization is one that is vendor neutral and does not partner with specific installers or projects. Given the history of fossil fuel use in manufacturing in LaPorte County and considering the continued use of the coal-fired power plant in Michigan City over the next several years, we share an existential concern with our partners regarding any impact on the move away from renewable energy in the county that would keep the county's reliance on fossil fuel source energy longer. I would commend to you the Indiana Office of Energy's study. They partnered with the Lugar Center at IU Indianapolis to address many of the concerns that we've heard tonight here at this hearing. Now, this is an Indiana government entity partnering with an Indiana university. I would commend that. Beyond the neutral property values that they mentioned, they also found that solar helps to stabilize the grid and it offers energy security. Solar does not rely on market forces in the same way that fossil fuels do, and it creates local jobs that cannot be outsourced. The electricity is generated hyper-locally, which means that it is not as affected by brownouts and blackouts, by transmission failures as other energy sources. Solar infrastructure is also safe. I know we heard a lot to the contrary, but we have acceptable risks when it comes to our phones, and there is up to 100 times more toxic chemicals in one of these, and I imagine we have more than one of these in this room tonight, than there is in one solar panel. Solar panels generate little to no noise, and any noise, as was mentioned earlier, would emanate from the string inverters that are located on specific areas of the site, not the whole, usually closest to the grid infrastructure and away from the boundary lines surrounding the project that would impact neighboring landowners. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the zoning board for not only hearing my testimony, but really also considering what is in the best interest of the full spectrum of voices and opinions in the county. You have a difficult job. I don't envy you, and I thank you for your time, your consideration, and your decision making.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Adam Banks, 2789 South 350 West.
Adam, I'm going to need you to get closer to that microphone.
Union Carpenter, Local 1485. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of the conversation this evening. I was born and raised in LaPorte County and care very deeply about the growth and success of this community. I want to see LaPorte take all the opportunities given and presented to grow, that our children can be proud of where they came from and also want to raise their families here. I'm very involved in my community and very involved in my family. I'm the Kingsbury Ball Club KVA president and also a Little League coach. I also hold a position on that KVA board. I want to contribute positively to society and still be able to watch my children grow and play every day. The Blue Stem Solar Project will offer many, like me, jobs to support their families while also still being able to be active in their families and in their communities. The developer is offering workers the opportunity to make a living wage in a community that we care so much about, while also being able to give that wage back to these communities. The proposed Blue Stem project would directly support approximately 39 job years and $2.7 million in wages and benefits during Phase 1 and approximately 69 jobs and $4.8 million in wage benefits during Phase 2. The project is also giving LaPorte County residents a possibility of new and environmentally friendly electricity production. Between 2011 and 21, as the share of electricity produced in Indiana from coal fell from 85% to 58%, carbon dioxide emissions from electricity fell from 109.6 to 70.4 million metric tons. The amount of electricity produced using the solar increased by 113 million megawatt hours to 2.8% of total electricity production. The project will allow Indiana to decrease its greenhouse emissions and join the United States in increasing clean energy options. In addition, electricity sales in direct use in 2021 in Indiana totaled 107.1 million megawatt hours. However, only 88% of that demand was met by in-state utilities, independent producers, and other sources. As a result, Indiana had to import the remaining electricity is consumed from the producers in other states as well as all imports. By that means the jobs, wages, and economic output created by that production went to localities in those states and not localities in Indiana. In closing, in the construction field, we always say that we're working ourselves out of a job to continue to improve our communities that we serve. This job is no different. Like me and the hundreds of others that will be employed, we will learn new skills that will get us and our children excited to learn new skills, while also increasing property tax dollars that we will pour into this community to help leave it as a healthier environment for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's the first one that made it into the wire. That's good. He's rehearsed that. 3 minutes. Right on the money.
Thank you. Trying to see how many we have because I want to take a break. We're using his. Yeah. Okay.
Don Cusper, 5253 East, 150 North, Rolling Prairie.
Good evening.
I would like to comment on Article 24, Section 24.05, General Welfare. The proposal will not be injurious to public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. While there's been a lot of buzz about dangerous chemicals released from solar farming, I would like to once again review for the board the list of chemicals placed on our farm to assist in crop success. Though legal, herbicides, insecticides, and fertilizers are applied to the fields annually. A 35-year solar farming plan will place a well-deserved pause on the land for the Bluestem project. I have attached some figures for 3,000 acres of farmland based on the activity and chemical use on our 950-acre farm. These numbers are conservative. This shows some of the chemicals on the property. The total deposited chemicals over 35 years in pounds is 75,680,274. Additionally, I've added a 35-year total truckload count for distribution of fertilizers, insecticides, herbicides, crop loads to market. The total truckloads for crop and chemical transport over 35 years is 20,242 trucks. Our family has leased the land to local farmers for more than 3 generations. This year, we want to lease our land to RWE for solar use. For us, it's a way to protect the soil by giving it a chemical break and improve the soil quality over the next 35 years. At the end of the plan, we will return to farming with better quality soil, new irrigation, and wells. According to the United States Department of Agriculture in the CREP program in Indiana, for 14 to 15-year contracts, this will improve the water quality, reduce soil erosion, reduce the amount of sediment, phosphorus, and other pollutants entering water bodies, and improve wildlife habitat. The goals for this CREP were to, one of them, reduce sediments, nutrients, and agriculture chemicals entering water courses. That's by the United States Department of Agriculture.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Donna Burke, and I'm Mike Burke. We're at 5253 East, 150 North Rolling Prairie Road.
Can you guys hear me in the back? Make sure to speak into the microphone, please.
Donna Burke and Mike Burke. We're at 5253 East, 150 North Rolling Prairie. I'm not going to go over everything. I don't want to waste your time. She has a letter that's just talking about the farm. And I also have some more supportive data about the property values, supporting that they will not be negatively impacted. So I don't want to waste the board's time, so I'll just hand that out to you guys.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. Boys and Vance, how many demonstrators do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do these 5.
Babies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. If you would state your name and address for the record.
My name is Cindy Cusper, 5253 East, 150 North, Rolling Prairie, Indiana. And actually, I've been asked by Jack and Rhonda Haverstock to read a letter. They're not able to be here tonight, so I'm here reading on their behalf. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to speak. First of all, we would like to bring to your attention the numbers from 2024 stating that there are approximately 111,590 residents in LaPorte County. Our estimate is that there is approximately 1,000 people opposing this project, which is less than 1% of the entire population of this county. Secondly, we would like to remind you of the LaPorte County Commissioners Ordinance 2021-13 and the last paragraph of the ordinance stating, whereas actions made by LaPorte County, Indiana to achieve Soul Smart Gold status, letting installers and residents across the country know that LaPorte County is the highest level of solar friendliness. This was signed by 2 of our current commissioners, and a reminder, the highest level of solar friendliness. The growth of renewable energy in the last decade has been exponential, and as more and more clean energy development has occurred, questions about land use, particularly around solar, are driving a debate about property rights. Property rights are legal rights that landowners have regarding the use of their land. Oftentimes, when a landowner decides they would like to host a wind or solar farm on their property, they face a complex and contentious process in fighting for the property rights to even be considered. The growth of solar development across American energy landscape provides opportunities for landowners to preserve and enhance their land. In my research on property values from the Clean Power Association, cleanpower.org, it states that the real world experience has found that solar projects have little impact on property values. Also, Michigan Public states that new research from Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory has found that solar farms reduce property values of homes within a half mile by an average of 1.5%. The study mainly looked at urban areas instead of rural areas and didn't consider the benefits of jobs creation or increased taxes from solar. Their research found no effect on homes miles away. And lastly, this project will provide a way for future generations to enjoy and benefit from the legacy of our land that was left to my family and provide a source of income for them as well. It will also benefit our county with additional taxes this project will bring, and in turn will benefit many, many more. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
It's Angela Bellis, and I've spoke once before at one of our meetings.
Can you get close to that mic, please? Thank you.
My address is 6562 East 300 North, Rolling Prairie, Indiana 46371. One of the placements will be my backyard. And I was part of the project, I guess, was going on with the grid. Okay. And the grid went in place in 2020. That's when they started construction for the grid. So if they've been doing this since 2020, which is only 4 years, so which means they are somehow attached to the grid project. Okay. So they ended up going through the farmers to get what grid they wanted to go through. They offered to the farmers instead of the residents.
Okay, I was part of that. When I was here at another meeting, I had mentioned, what about our children? How are we going to have it safety for our children? Now, yeah, we live in the country. If they're not playing with animals or something, they're trying to find something to get into. Okay? There has been nothing on this whole meeting said anything about the safeties of our kids. And also, I have a disabled daughter. Okay? And if it's true about the solar bringing more storms and more issues, if you have someone that is medically challenged and has pain on an everyday basis, and then you're going to add that to it, so then you're going to put your disabled people in more pain for someone to try to make a buck. I mean, common sense. And yeah, I'm a laborer. I could put in these solar panels. I'm a union laborer. But 2 hot jobs to put in for 3 years? How many harvesters are you putting out that provide for their family by picking crops? And that's year after year after year. And then you're gonna employ 4 people. For 35 years, 4 people. Not to mention the price of the food's gonna go up because our local farmers can't provide. You know, if they want money, then lease your fields. That's the obvious. We don't want to see it. And like they said, oh, we'll put in the trees. We'll put in the trees. Well, it's going to take forever for the trees to grow up. I don't want to see that. And it's going to affect our animals and our children and our elderly.
Thank you. I know. Good evening.
Good evening. Jerome Hester's 0307 400 East. Part of the 150 acres will be across the road from me. I've lived there for 28 years. I have 4 major storms that's come through there and wiped out different things. So my concerns about the solar panels, just like the storm last night that took down the big towers and everything else, that's one concern I have. The sunlight was mentioned by RWE that we have more sunlight here than Florida. In January, we had less than 3 days of sunlight. So between that and snow coverage, that's a good idea to think about. Solar panels produce 26% efficiency, and do they last 35 years? For what stuff I've seen, it's only lasted less than 15. Then you got to put new ones in. Who's going to cover all that? A little nervous, but
you're doing fine.
You guys have a major decision to decide on this. You hear all the different numbers tonight from different places. You got this professional, that professional, contradicting all the numbers. All I like to see is making sure the facts are true and for you guys to decide off of the real facts and not by hearsay. So, and if all these people are here, there's something going on that don't want to be here. So, enough unanswered questions. There's probably still more out there that needs to be checked. For instance, where's the storage for the battery storage? Is that approved yet? Where's it going to be? And all the pros and cons on that. So, and solar probably is going to be good in the future, but this is just a start, just like the one lady said earlier, that the 30-year study hasn't been here. 5 years from now, there might be something that's more improved, double the capacity for solar. But to do 3,000 acres, that's quite a bit to start out. And then I heard there's other contracts in the future already signed up to over 10,000 acres in LaPorte County alone. So, good luck. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. This should be our last one. Good evening.
Good evening. Bob Rodinsky, 3652 Division Road, LaPorte. I want to ask the board, when's the last time you scraped bugs off your windshield? Has any of you scraped any off?
Sure.
You have? I haven't. And I've driven 100 miles around this town away, and I haven't had none. It used to be, I could drive into town, stop at the gas station, and have to use a squeegee and cuss the bugs out. Now there ain't none.
Make sure you're getting close to that microphone so no one can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there isn't any. Here's some, I got some information on solar sites. U.S. solar sites linked to higher levels of insects. Scientists conducting a 5-year research project in southern Minnesota have observed tripling of insect numbers near 2 solar facilities built and rehabilitated agricultural populations and improved pollination in nearby fields. This is done by the research team from U.S. Department of Energy. Insect levels have tripled in less than 5 years at 2 solar sites built on retired agricultural land. Native grass, wildflowers were planted at the solar facilities between August 2018 and 22. They've conducted 358 observational surveys of flower and vegetation and insect communities. They found that total insect levels tripled, with native bees showing a 20-fold increase in numbers.
I would like my bees to increase.
It demonstrates that if properly sited, habitat-friendly solar energy can be a feasible way to safeguard insect population and improve the pollination services of adjacent agricultural fields.
I don't care.
The National Laboratory said the findings suggest that habitat-friendly solar sites could play an important role in conserving biodiversity, mitigating land use conflicts associated with conversion of farmland for solar energy production, and noted that this could be particularly beneficial for future development. For instance, as carbon neutral source electricity expanded, solar energy development is critical to mitigate climate change according to the DOE's Solar Future Study. Approximately 10 million acres of land in the U.S. will be needed for large-scale solar development by 2050 in order to meet the grid decarbonization and climate change goals, but some lands are better suited for PV solar development than others. Disturbed lands such as former agricultural fields are ideal locations to hold rows of solar panels compared to lands that have not been previously undisturbed.
Thank you. All right. This is going to be our last one, and I think we're going to take a quick break.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Sam Overly. I live at 5303 Cameron Lane, Lafayette, Indiana. I work with an organization called the Land and Liberty Coalition of Indiana. We represent landowners and farmers across Indiana who have a property rights stake in this issue. I think there's a few things that I think we should cover. First of all, developers aren't interacted with the transmission infrastructure and where it goes through. So that is designed ahead of time by a separate entity, a government entity that's highly regulated. Then the land that is selected is based off of the accessibility of transmission. So that is what makes this land particularly desirable for the development. Additionally, you might hear that solar is going to take over the county if you allow one development, but that simply isn't the case. There's significant limitations to the infrastructure and also to the amount of land that can be consumed by this. So having the whole county covered by solar is not an issue. But I think that something more important, something that is essential to this discussion is the question of property rights. From our founding, property rights has been an essential freedom that undergirds everything about our society. We believe in the ideals of limited government and individual liberty. We believe that farmers and landowners should be able to use their land as they best see fit to provide for their families. By denying this project, you're denying that ability. You're denying the essential right to use their property, one of the 5 essences of owning property or having property rights. And so I think that as you're considering this, there's numerous elements to consider. You know, we can talk about the property values, we can talk about economic benefits, we can talk about property taxes decreasing, but undergirding the whole discussion is the property rights of the landowners in this room, numerous landowners in this room, generational farmers who are seeking to diversify their income so that they can sustain their farm for another generation. And I don't think that can be easily overlooked or should be easily overlooked. I appreciate your time and I value you bringing in diverse viewpoints into this discussion. I think that's essential. So thank you.
Thank you. Alright, so we have a gentleman over here. And then we're going to take a quick break and come back and listen to Attorney Novak.
Hi.
Good evening. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. My name's Gene Smith, 0455 North 250 East. I'm a landowner that wants to lease my ground to RWE. I have farmed my entire life and would like to retire due to some health issues. The people that oppose this say that their property values may decrease. The research that I have done is saying at worst conditions 1 to 1.5% for people that border the solar farm. However, I believe that their property will increase dramatically due to the shortage of housing now and in 2 years when the project is complete, and so is the battery plant in New Carlisle, they'll add 1,000 or more jobs and the need for more housing. The following is a report on the cannibalization of U.S. farm ground. And it's written by Richard Brain, lead researcher and writer on a report in agricultural science and technology. Brain writes that from 2001 to 2016, 11 million acres of farmland and ranch land were converted to urban and highly developed land use. 4.1 million acres, or low density residential land use, about 7 million acres. To put that in perspective, he found that in the U.S. collectively there are 2.3 billion acres of land. Use for the land currently breaks down like this. 29% is permanent grassland, pasture, and range. 28% is forest. 17% is cropland. 14% in special use. 3% is urban, and the remaining 9% is miscellaneous. He describes special use as being things like rural transportation, rural parks, and wildlife. He says shifting back is easier with conservation. He said once farmland is paved over and a subdivision is built, it's irrevocably changed. If you're rewilding the CRP, for example, you can always reclaim and revert to production if necessary, but you can't do that with a parking lot. The people that move to the county and not live in a subdivision do so for a reason. They do not want restrictions that they would have in a subdivision or city. Things like a pole barn for a shop or storage, having a boat or RV stored on their private property, putting up solar panels on a roof or ground mounted, the freedom to put up the structure they would like. And they finish with, by doing anything. Well, this, people enjoy their property rights, but they want to take ours.
Thank you. All right, I have the time now. It's 8:09. We're going to be back here in 10 minutes. And we're going to start whether everyone's here or not. Thank you. Thank you. So 8:19. Get everybody back in the room or quiet so that we can continue, please. Thank you for allowing everybody to take a little break.
I'll wait for Doug.
He didn't make it back in my time slot.
Start without him.
Our own. I think we
need
should. Yes, please. No, he already did that. Anthony, I think it really would be okay if we go ahead and start without him.
So thank you everyone for your time tonight. In rebuttal, I'm going to speak for less than a minute. Mike Baruch will speak for less than a minute, and then Emily herself for maybe 5 minutes or less. So procedurally, a point that was brought up originally was that the application is incomplete because it doesn't have signatures of other property owners. We've specifically consulted with Doug Beege. He indicated that an affidavit of consent would suffice. Regardless, since we know that the petition will not be voted on tonight, we will have a document signed by all of the property owners submitted prior to the 6/18 hearing. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Michael Morose again. So there's been some comment about expert witness. I've actually been accepted over 100 times in circuit and federal courts, never not been accepted, and I have over 50 public body clients that I consult with regularly. Now, there was by the objectors some evidence provided that I hadn't seen that came forth tonight. My report's been out over a month. So, however, the three things I heard, number one was that in regard to my University of Texas study, that 99% of the people in that study had no experience with solar. That's not what I said. And that study is explained on page 83 in my report. It's about 50-50 on that. So that was just an incorrect statement. The second has to do with North Star Polar Solar, which is about 30 miles west of Minneapolis, St. Paul. I visited it. It's a very unique situation that there were about 7 farmettes with houses in the middle that were surrounded by a 100 megawatt solar farm. And this happened first started development in about 2014, 2015. The developers went in, had appraisals at about $300,000 and offered the people $360,000. They sold. They developed the solar farm, surrounded the property owner, and then in my report, I have sales and resales showing significant values increases over $100,000 many times after the solar farm was developed. I talked to this Chicago County assessor, and he's actually been published in a couple local papers as to they did studies and found no negative impact on value. So that's the full story. So the preliminary part was correct. There was values that were paid as a premium, but then when it back on, they were over. And also in my report on page 85 and addenda pages 30, 31, and 32, I discuss in detail the LB&L study, which is that Lawrence Berkeley study, and why, my opinion, that supports no negative impact for the subject. Thank you.
Thank you.
We made it to the end. Emily McDuff again. I'm going to briefly talk about some of the topics that came up to the point of doping solar panels. We provided our cut sheets in our application. I'm not familiar with this concept. We can provide more detail on the materials in our solar panels, but those cut sheets were provided with our application. The fire department training was preliminary that we conducted. We would like to continue training with the fire departments and working with emergency responders in LaPorte County. In terms of solar, sunlight in LaPorte County, Yes, there are many cloudy days in LaPorte compared to other places. Solar panels can capture direct and diffuse light. So if you look at the national solar irradiance data, which I looked at myself, LaPorte County can produce 4.33 kilowatt hours per meter squared per day. And compared to the amount of sunlight total, direct and diffuse, that can be captured in Orlando, that's 87% as sunny as there, and 92% as Orlando, Florida, and 87% as Dallas, Texas. So correct, not as much direct sunlight, but you can capture diffuse sunlight as well, even on a cloudy day. Our vegetative screening, we have suggested a mixture of evergreen and canopy trees that will be planted at 6 to 7 feet tall to start and grow to 30 feet. We can do all evergreens. We can work with the county and the neighbors to determine that if canopy trees are not as wanted as evergreens, especially in the wintertime. We're only putting panels on flat land with less than 5% slope. To the comment about rolling hills, we recognize that if you happen to live on a hill, you may be able to see it at a distance, but we're not putting solar panels on rolling prairie land. The other piece about our company, so RWE is a publicly traded company. Anyone in this room could become a shareholder in RWE if you wanted to. 88% of our shareholders are institutional. 9% of that, 88%, is Qatar. 24% is the U.S. and Canada, shareholders from these two countries, ours included. And Qatar is a strategic ally of the U.S. One of our largest Air Force bases in the Middle East is in Qatar. We can provide more information about that as well. In terms of our panel strength, we have a Met weather station out on the site for an entire 365 days, and we conduct geotechnical studies of the project site specifically. So we're designing our project to the weather and soil conditions of the project site in LaPorte County. And so we will design it to that strength and keep hail and tornado and other weather events in mind. These are really strong systems designed to present weather conditions in this area. We'll also have a 25-year warranty on our solar panels. It also behooves us to fix any solar panels that do happen to break as quickly as possible, because we're in the business of making electricity and getting money for that. Last but not least, this project application is for solar specifically. We are developing a separate battery storage project that would be within the same footprint, but that is not part of the application tonight. That would be at a later date. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so Anthony, I have a couple of questions for you. I know that this board has worked with you in the past on a battery plant, and we had a very good, in my opinion, exchange of information on our website, where not only the public can go and see all of these studies and information that we've been provided as a board, but also they can provide information as well. Is that something that we can do on this site?
Oh, absolutely.
On this project
In fact,
as well?
everything that we've submitted is on the county's website already.
Okay.
So any supplemental information we talk about today, we can add. If there's information from the opposition that could be posted, we certainly have no objection whatsoever.
Okay, I know for myself, not only was I presented with this much reading material tonight, but the mail lady carried a 40-pound box to the house and was like, oh, she walks. So I still have a fair amount of this information to go through. And again, so I'm not sure what the feeling is for the rest of the board. I don't want to make a hasty decision, but I'm definitely in favor of us tabling this petition for the evening, and hopefully when we schedule it again, I'm in favor of not making the motion.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to add to what you're saying, because I want the public to understand we can impose conditions on the grant, and that's exactly what Anthony and I did with the battery facility. Worked together and tried to alleviate as many concerns as we could, and that it would be beneficial to have time to work on that, so we can impose conditions to help hopefully reduce some of the concerns of the public.
I agree. I'm speaking for myself personally. I don't know about everybody else on the board. But like I said, I don't want to make a hasty decision. I want to be well informed. And with the addition of all this information tonight, I feel like I
think that we really helped the Postal Service this last month, because I received a truckload of information that I tried to get over, and Then we got another truckload tonight. Now, there is a lot of information that has to be considered here. There's been a lot of good points that have come out tonight on both sides. And yeah, my concern is the battery storage and how that's going
That
to
isn't on the
work out.
That isn't part
Yeah,
of it.
they're gonna file that under a completely separate petition.
Right. But I'm going to make a motion that we table this and get some more information gathered here so we can make a more informed decision for the future.
I'm in favor of that, but can I add something to that? That as we are, as the board going through it, that we submit our conditions over to the attorney, that he can.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So you have a second?
Yes.
I have a motion from Vern and a second from everyone else. All those in favor of tabling the petition this evening, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, so we're gonna table it. I'm not gonna say it has to be within 30 days, but it could be, right? Okay, so if everyone that was here for petition number 1 would quickly and quietly, we still have 14 other
So
petitions.
should we plan to be here next month?
I think get in contact with.
Talk with Doug, yeah.
We have more business in front of the board this evening. Petition number 2. Are you here today?
I am.
Okay, very good. And you want to continue with us hearing your petition tonight?
Okay.
Is that true?
Notice is adequate.
Yes.
Thank
that's
you.
Correct.
Okay, so for the remaining petitioners, if any of you have just had it with us and you've been here for 2.5 hours, we can move you over to the next meeting. Or if you'd like to stay longer, we'll go ahead and knock everybody out. Okay? All right. Petition number 2 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Jason and Carissa Felger for a second accessory structure to be used as a pool house with a bathroom and a kitchenette and an in-ground pool. Property is located at 4203 East, 1000 North, LaPorte, Galena Township, zoned ag on 5.45 acres. Okay. Notice was adequate, so if you want to state your name and address for the record, please.
Do you want the building address, the construction?
I want where you live.
Where I live?
Yes.
My name is Bill Washbaugh. My address is 9402 Red Arrow Highway, Waterville, Michigan.
Are you a contractor?
Yes, I'm a contractor. You just here on behalf of them.
Okay.
They could not make it.
Go ahead and tell us about the project.
So last year we applied for permit, remodeled the farmhouse, and they had a huge 26 by 40 garage that was built by the previous owner that we probably prematurely tore down because they wanted better view of their backyard. And since then they decided you've permitted them to put a swimming pool in, and we've also got soil solutions. We had the permit issued for the septic system for the pool house. And I'm just here seeking approval to build the pool house.
Okay, do we have any remonstrators tonight for this petition? Anybody for or against it? What kind of questions from the board?
Right now, the pool,
Microphone.
mic on. The pool exists right now?
Yes.
So you just want to add a structure here too?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I feel unprepared, especially after that last meeting. But
You're doing just fine.
yeah, I think it's like a 16 by 20 pool house. Like, I think we're like 5 foot more than the setback. I provided all the information that I needed as far as plans and setbacks and site plan. Yeah, it's just an additional structure next to the swimming pool.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve this.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They're like, what?
Might be a good
Just
thing.
happened.
Okay, I'm probably gonna pronounce your last name incorrectly. So the petition for variance of developmental standards for Shelby for construction of a pole barn with living quarters in the loft for elderly parents. Property is located at 2304 East, 1000 North, LaPorte, Galena Township, zoned ag on 11.03 acres.
Notice adequate.
Thank you. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Shelby Zarobinski. My address is 2304 East 1000 North in LaPorte, Indiana.
So you want to put your parents upstairs?
Yes. There's already talks about putting in one of those chair lifts.
Like in the Gremlins?
In the Gremlin? Yeah. Sure.
Okay. And now I am old Vern.
Yeah, so I just had new construction for a house, and the next step would be doing a barn. And considering their age and some health issues we had this spring, it just sort of makes sense to, since we've got a blank slate, to include living quarters in the top of the pole barn. I did submit really vague plans. Our next step would be to, if it gets approved, work with Pressel to actually get a building plan done. There's also submitted was a location of the proposed barn, and I don't know if it would help have like some photos of something very similar to what it would look like.
Is it going to blend in with the neighborhood?
Yeah, it would
The
be.
surrounding?
My neighbor currently has a barn that's closer to the road that's white and it's sort of gable style. Mine would just be like a main structure 40 by 60 with 2 lean-tos on the side, and it would match my current house, which is a black and white theme. So black wainscot on the bottom and then white up top, and then the roof and shingles to match.
So you're going to do storage underneath?
Yeah, we own horses.
Parents are horses are going to go in there.
You're gonna go
Your
put them
parents
above the horses?
I know some folks in Utah that have done it. So as far as like working with soundproofing drywall, additional insulation, stuff like that to help.
Okay. Any remonstrators tonight for or against this petition? Your parents aren't here, are they?
One.
You can say you're in favor if you'd like to. Okay. Anybody for or against? What kind of questions do we have as a board?
Are you gonna put in a stairway to get them up and down?
Yes, so I have a and like my barn part floor plans, a lab, like we breed horses, so it would be that's where you would enter, and that would have the stairwell with the chair, that you sit in, and then it sort of takes you up the stairs.
You will have the chair?
Yes.
Okay.
Reluctantly, if you guys don't want it, but yes, that's my full plans.
Being elderly myself, I worry a little bit about fire protection, obviously, with living quarters upstairs and elderly people. And then one of the other considerations that we usually make is that this will not be a rental property in the future.
After they pass away, possibly, as far as like.
That's exactly what he's asking.
Yeah, it's because that becomes a bit of an issue, putting rental properties on a property already, if you have a house there. So if we do grant you a, variance here, there might be some stipulations about.
Yeah. The only
future
thing
rent.
I could see would be a college student to help with chores, and in exchange you keep your horse boarded up my place and you pay your utilities up in the apartment. That's the only thing I could see. As far as getting on an Airbnb, VRBO, anything like that, no.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant this petition for variance of developmental standards for Shelby, with a consideration that this structure be used only for her parents, and in the future it will not be a rental property.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, I've got a couple of them. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck. Good luck, Dad. All right. Number 4 is a petition for variance of use for Robert Stevens to operate a car repair shop out of the current pole barn. It's located at 1012 East Hamilton Street, Union Mills, Noble Township, zoned R1B.
In pole barn.
Notice adequate.
Thank you. If you would state your name and address for the record.
Robert Stevens, 1012 East Hamilton Street, Union Mills, Indiana.
Robert, tell us what your plans are for this garage.
Well, I built the pole barn back in 2020 with no intentions of running a repair shop, but with COVID and everything, my employer took 10% of my wages back during then, so I had to find other ways to make some extra cash to pay my bills. And then, since then, it's grown.
How many vehicles would you have at one time?
3 or 4 or 5, maybe. With the
3 to 5
Yeah.
automobiles?
Yeah,
Are you going to do small engine work too?
possibly.
Okay. What are the days of operation that you would like?
Usually just after work and on the weekends.
So give me a time that it's after work.
From 4 to 9.
4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is that going to be Monday through Sunday?
Yes.
Is that your intent?
The weekends would be more during the day than at night.
Okay, so let's say Monday through Friday, 4 to 9.
Right. And I'm not going to be out there every day, just possibilities.
What kind of hours would you look on the weekend?
Probably 8 to 4.
8 to 4. Would you have a sign out there rather?
I can put one out there, yes.
8 to 4. And what size sign would you like?
I'm not sure, whatever they recommend.
3 by 4. I mean, you tell me the largest you would go.
I wouldn't go that large. Probably.
3 by 4, so not to exceed 3 by 4?
Right.
Would you put a light on it?
Yes.
I have a lot of questions for you, don't I?
It's fine.
All right. Do we have any remonstrators this evening for this petition? Anybody for or against this petition? What kind of questions do we have as a board?
Your parking area, are you doing the south and the north?
Just the south.
Just the south? How many vehicles can you put in there?
5, he said.
I could put 5 outside and I can fit 3 to 4 inside.
I'm good.
Okay, if there are no other questions and seeing no remonstrators, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the petition for variance for use of, for Robert Stevens to operate a car repair shop out of his pole barn with operating hours of Monday through Friday, 4 to 9, 8 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday. Also allowing him to use a lighted 3 by 4 sign.
Thank you.
And I second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Petition number 5 is a variance of developmental standards for Tamara Fern for construction of a third accessory structure and to the front and the side of the home and not to the rear. The property is located at 7677 West, 275 North, Michigan City, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1A on 1 acre.
Notice adequate.
Good evening. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, my name is Tamara Fern, 7677 West 275 North.
And your name?
Jason Kreisbaum.
Are you at the same address?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So lots of setbacks. A third accessory structure. Why don't you tell me what gives the need for a third accessory structure?
Because we have ATVs, we have boats, and we want dry storage right now. Our garage is basically for our vehicles. So I don't really have any other form of storage. And originally I would have loved to put it behind the house. But when I bought the house, the diagram I got of the house didn't show the pipeline that far in my property.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to change everything. The one I got in 1996 showed it back here, not even hardly on the property. So I'm kind of stuck with having to rearrange it like this. And then as you can see, the house is kind of cattywampus on the property. So I have to work with what we have.
We actually have 3 boats,
Well,
5 ATVs, a golf cart, dirt
We have a
bike.
lot of toys.
we should go play over there.
And we plan on retiring soon, so we need somewhere to put it so that,
Friends?
yes, so we can come and go.
Are you sure it's going to be big enough?
Yeah, well, it's going to be because of
It's never big enough.
because of the topography of the ground. It's hard for us to put anything bigger there or to change anything because if you guys have been by or looked at the property, it's on a hill.
Hilly.
It slopes.
Yeah.
The dirt work that I'm going to have to do to make this work and adequate drainage is going to be a job on its own. But BP is not allowing us to cross their pipeline with.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, are there any remonstrators tonight for this petition? Anybody for or against it? Okay. No remonstrators. What kind of questions do we have?
What were you looking at for this type of a building? Is it going to kind of blend in with the
It'll match the rest of the house.
We're
rest of the house?
looking at the exact.
You're looking at a
same
pole,
building.
pole structure
Yes,
and steel sides?
yes,
Can you approach her for a minute? I want to
Yes.
look. Want you to look.
Make sure you get them on microphone, please.
Case they hear you.
yes.
I've kind of made a little drawing here. Is this kind of the location you're looking at here?
Yes, it is. It's going to be. It's not going to be right in line with the existing building. I had to shift it back roughly 8 feet to get the correct drainage, so I can get drainage all around
And
the
you're gonna
building.
be, what distance from this property line?
15 feet off of that property line.
And you know how far from the road?
30 to 32 feet.
Okay. So the building size is
It's going to be depending on the 32 by 48 or 30 by 48.
okay.
Depending on the trusses and basically if they do 8-foot centers on the post,
And the height, the eve height,
be 10 foot.
10 foot.
I'm looking to build the exact same building that is on there right now.
So they match.
Yes,
Okay.
same color, everything.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so one thing I want to mention is that you might want to get in touch when you do your application. Just talk with the county MS4 department because they're going to tell you how to control rainwater and water runoff and keep it on your property. I see that you're adding a big concrete pad area in there as well. So you might have just touch base with them and keep that in mind. We want to keep you to keep your own water runoff on your property.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right, so are there any additional questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept this application.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Petition number 6 is for a variance of developmental standards for Jeffrey and Gail Kuhn for construction of an addition with a front setback of 16 feet instead of the minimum required 25. Property is located at 5111 North Barclay Ave, LaPorte, Kankakee Township, zoned R1A.
No, it's adequate.
Thank you. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Jeffrey Kuhn, 5111 North Barclay, LaPorte, Kankakee Township.
All right, Jeffrey, what's going on with your property that we have to move the?
We're putting an addition onto the north side of the home. We looked initially, we were going to put an outbuilding, a pole barn of some kind of building, but due to setbacks and everything, this was our best option to add it on to the side of the house. For architectural reasons, aesthetics, I wanted to bring it out to kind of give it the architectural look that the current house has, to kind of blend it in a little bit more than what it has. It also will allow me to have an area where that bump out comes in, where we're going to put the whole house generator and everything else, and move our electrical service over to that area there.
Okay. And you have a pipeline issue as well.
Yes, Wolverine pipe crosses the north part of my property. I started in contact with them back in January. I think you have an email that I have from their project manager, and so I meet the setback requirements and have a 3-foot leeway.
Okay. Anybody in favor or against this petition tonight? Anybody in favor or against? Hearing and seeing none. What kind of questions do we have? Well, my question is, are you sure that's as big as you need for an addition?
It's just more or less for storage, for additional vehicle, golf cart, stuff like that. I have a little hobby shop there, a little workshop that I have that I've always wanted to have something bigger, and
26 by 18 is going to do it?
Well, there's also where I'm adding on to it. There's another shop right there.
Okay.
And so it's basically going to be like an L shape.
Okay.
So it just gives me a little bit more space, and I'm just overcrowded in there. And so I'm getting ready to retire here, and so I want to have an area that I can do whatever.
Sounds good.
And Kate.
If there are no further questions,
I'm running out of space.
I will entertain a motion.
Less grass to mow. I move that we grant the petition for variance from developmental standards for Jeffrey and Gail Kuhn for construction of an addition with a front setback of 16 instead of a 25.
I have a
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck. But
Thank
I
you.
still don't think it's big enough.
Just I'll come back and ask for the rest of the 16.
Go. All right. I'll be here, hopefully. All right. Petition number 7 for variance of developmental standards for Julie and Wayne Peck for construction of a garage in front of the home instead of the rear, and a 2-foot side setback instead of the 10-foot minimum required, and a 30-foot wetland setback instead of the 50 minimum required. Property is located at 8326 East Lakeshore Drive, New Carlisle, Hudson Township, zoned R1B.
Notice adequate.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your patience. Why don't you tell me your name and addresses?
Julie Peck, 8326 East Lakeshore Drive, New Carlisle.
Anybody
Indiana.
else?
Wayne?
I'm her husband, Wayne Peck, same address.
Okay.
Bruce Young, Bruceville Construction, 208 Lakeside, Walkerton, Indiana.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, so I already know the problem. I've had Hudson Lake in here all the time. They're so little. I know they are. And the wetlands is an issue as well. Why don't you tell me what your overall plan is?
Well, I retired a year ago, and we're trying to make this our permanent home, but there's nowhere to put anything because we just have the house. So we need a garage so we can start bringing our things over and transitioning to becoming Hoosiers.
Very good. So,
And on the wetland, the 30-foot, I just want to point out that most of the cottages on the whole lake
oh, I know,
are 20 foot from the water. And I've got the wetland on 30 feet, so I'm at 10 feet ahead.
And that wetland's
I
part
need
of
you
our
guys
side
to
lot.
speak into the microphone.
And the wetland is actually part of our side lot. So
Okay.
it's like a little pond there.
So I'm always curious, what if something happens on your lake side? How are emergency vehicles going to get back there?
How much we have plenty. We're on Lakeshore Drive, so it's very easy access.
Once they get off and if they need to drive to the rear of your vehicle, the rear of your property rather.
The rear of our property is actually street side.
Okay, so you have no water facing that.
The front of the house, which faces the water, and then the back side of the house where the garage will be is actually street side. It's
Right. So if emergency vehicles need to get to the water side of whatever direction your house,
we have the side
but
lot.
How much room? How much room is
We
there?
have the side lot because the side lot is 60 feet out the
60 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I drive my truck back to all the
I need you in the microphone, please.
I drive my truck back, I back it up all the time for loading and unloading, so
All right. I just want to make sure everybody's safe back there if something happens. What kind of questions do we have?
Where is the gas and electric service coming in relationship to
The gas and electric service right now would be, if you're looking at the house from the road, is to the left, coming to the corner of the house right there. We've already discussed that. If it is in the way or it's too close, and it's going to be an issue, then we'll go to the expense of getting a hold of NIPSCO and getting it relocated or looped around to keep it out of
goes
the
to
way.
the corner of the house, we're gonna have to move the electric and the gas.
Sorry, Ernie, what was that?
If it's going to the corner of the house now, like it's going to your meters and stuff, the way it looks now, either you gotta move the garage to the east, or we're gonna have to move the electric service and the gas line.
Yeah, if we have to disconnect and rerun a new line and loop it out, because it is going to be detached from the house, the garage. So there's going to be space in between. So if we have to disconnect and loop it out further to fit the garage, we'll do so.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any remonstrators for this petition? Anybody for or against this one? Don't be shy. Okay. If there are no further questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we allow this.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Aye. So, congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Ladies first.
All right. Petition for variance of use for Carrie Hale to operate a fireworks wholesale distribution business and with outdoor storage. Property is located at 9565 West Snyder Road, LaPorte, New Durham Township, zoned ag on 18.96 acres.
Notice adequate.
Thank you.
Good evening, Carrie Hale, 1515 Sherman Road, Buffalo, Missouri, which is just a little small town that is about an hour north of Branson, Missouri. This is my nephew, Colin.
At 1811 Woodmere Drive in Valparaiso.
Oh, Colin helps me run the business. He's my operations manager and has been for about the last 4 or 5 years. I will try to be brief, but maybe hit on several points. Kaboom Fireworks has been in business for 13 years in the state of Indiana. We started our business in Hobart, Indiana with a small fireworks retail and wholesale distribution center. In 2015, we outgrew that property and it forced our wholesale distribution division of it to relocate to an area around Klein Avenue and 8094. The retail is still there. It's a seasonal location for us. In 2018, I purchased another fireworks business located at the corner of Route 30 and Route 2 in Valparaiso, Indiana. The retail division is still there. We've roughly put about $125,000 into improvements into that property above and beyond the purchase price. And we moved into that in the fall of 2019. In 2022, with our projected growth doubling, we were rapidly outgrowing that property as well, which is, I guess, a good problem to have. We have been in the market for a new location that fits somewhat of the criteria like the property that we are discussing today at 9565 West Snyder in LaPorte. It has 18 acres and has a pole barn style building already existing and is allowing us for growth in the future as well. I purchased the property in March for $425,000 and I've already invested about $50,000 into the property to upgrade the back area of it, all leveling out the dirt, stuff like that. In the next, hopefully within about the next 3 years, I'm going to try to plan to invest about another $300,000 into the property to help grow. The land allows us to do that. The fireworks industry generates roughly $20 million in tax revenue for the state of Indiana. Can you guys hear me? with LaPorte County collecting some of that from all the existing firework businesses that are here in the county. Kaboom Fireworks plays a large role in the success in several retailers in the state to include those in LaPorte County. We directly import consumer fireworks and distribute them throughout the state and to several retailers. Kaboom Fireworks strives to always keep up with any of the industry changes and safety guidelines set forth by the State Fire Marshal's Office. We do so by being a proud member of the Indiana Fireworks User Association, which works directly with the Fire Marshal's Office to keep us up to industry basis, up to date on a weekly basis, keeping us up to date on everything. Kaboom has always been in compliance with the State Fire Marshal's Office and has historically a clean record without any violations upon inspections. Kaboom Fireworks asks the BZA to approve the use variance for the property at 9565 West Snyder Road, LaPorte, to allow a successful growing business to operate that will also take pride in representing LaPorte County and continue to invest in the area. The proposed use is the same as it has been the previous two uses, being distribution. Thank you.
Okay, so are you going to store fireworks in the buildings?
Yes, in the building and in the storage containers.
Okay, so what's the outside storage? Is that the storage
That's
containers?
that's additional storage. The state only allows me to store up to 6,000 square foot. The building itself is about 9,000. It's got a lean-to that we store some tent supplies in, like fencing, tent poles. The actual front part is an office area that's got a conference room, bathroom, things of that nature.
Okay.
So the actual storage facility of the fireworks is about 5,200 square feet.
Okay. How quickly do you think you're going to expand? I'm going to guess you're going to build a new structure.
I bought half the building already.
Okay. And I know it was used for trucking, I think, previously.
Mid-America trailer.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Is that a dirt road?
Oh, yeah.
Snyder is at that point?
Yes. Gravel.
So, as far as road repairs, are you going to have huge trucks coming in and out of there? Like semis?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. All right.
They won't be on a regular daily basis. It's more seasonal based type
Okay,
thing.
so how often would you say?
Well, right
Let's say
now
we're in fireworks season. I don't know
we're
when
in
that
fireworks
begins,
season. We're
so-
probably getting 3 semis a week.
Okay. 3 a week? How many come out? Then do you ship out, you said?
We do, but we have a very large mass of our customers will pick up in a small trailer, like a 6x12 trailer.
Okay.
You know, or a Penske truck, a 16-foot box Penske truck, or things like that.
Okay.
Maybe like one common carrier truck every 2 weeks or so.
Oh, okay.
Leaving, going out.
Okay. And do you have someone on staff all the time?
We do.
Okay. So I'm just saying for security purposes, you know.
We do have a locked gate. We repaired it. The previous tenant didn't leave it in the best shape, so we repaired it and we put a chain across it and lock it up with a combination lock that I could, provide to a fire department if I need to, if something gets back there. But
yeah, if we go ahead and approve this, I would recommend you contact the 911 center and provide that information to them. Sure. Do we have any remonstrators for this? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been waiting.
All right. If you guys would like to have a seat, I'd love to hear from them. Okay. State your...
Thomas Vogel, live at 9451 West Snyder Road.
Close. Tom, I
live our house is 140 feet away from the building in question. My wife and I have lived there for almost 6 years. This June will be 6. We bought the house and remodeled it and moved into it. We currently, when we moved there, we had 2 children. Now we have 4. And seeing what has gone into this building is great. Building's awesome. The land behind it's great. Always deer out there, always turkeys out there, coyotes, of course. Just great place, great land. But there are thousands of pounds of fireworks inside that building, 140 feet away from where my children sleep. 140 feet away from where my children, less than where they play. And I'm pro-business, I am pro-July 4th and the United States of America, but I'm also pro-safety for my children and for my wife. On this road, West Snyder Road, a dirt road, I love it because in the winter, snows, looks beautiful. In the fall, with the leaves hanging over, looks beautiful. But there are not fire hydrants on that road. There is not, according The last time I was in the building with the previous tenants, there was not a fire suppression system inside the building. And I worry for my children's safety and for our safety. And so for that, I'm asking you guys to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
If you would state your name and address for the record.
My name's Robert Tibbs. I live at 9444 West Snyder Road. And like Jim said, I live across the road from this place, and I have 4 kids. My kids are always out playing. I have animals, livestock. I just worry about thousands of pounds of explosive going off when my kids are outside playing, home in bed. And it's the safety issue that I'm worried about. So I'm asking you guys to vote no.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Any other remonstrators? All right, Carrie, come back up. Can you address the safety issues, like your fire suppression, anything else to that?
Sure. The state fire marshal's office only requires anything above 6,000 square feet. There's been years and years of historical, data that's been researched for what the state requires us to do. If it was a huge safety concern of the state fire marshal's office, they would make us put a suppression system in. The store I have in Hobart is actually a limited store right now. It's only 1,000 pounds. It doesn't have to have a sprinkler system. When it's wholesale distribution and it's not open to the public, they have different standards. I believe that anything that is 100 feet from a residential structure is what I'm required from the state to have. So I mean, it's the safety guidelines are governed by the state, and I currently have a permit with them for the operation that I'm doing.
Okay, very good. And can we talk a little bit then again about security measures that you have? Is there surveillance? What kind of stuff do you have other than the gate?
I don't have any security in place now, but I'm happy to put something in if we need to.
Okay.
Like an ADT system with smoke alarms, often they will generate a signal to the ADT who can dispatch a fire department or something like that. I'm happy to put that in. We do have fire extinguishers, powder and water throughout the facility. On site, we probably have 25, 30 water extinguishers.
Okay.
So there's any safety measures that you guys would like me to take in addition to it, I'd be happy to do.
And then what days, hours of operation? I know we talked about time of the year, but is it a 7-day-a-week operation?
It's not. A lot of it sometimes is customer based by appointment. There's some customers that might have to come and pick an order up at 10 o'clock at night on June 29th to restock their store. It's just, the business hours have to be pretty flexible. So being back off of Snyder Road kind of put us tucked back there and doesn't disrupt, your everyday business of people or closer to a residential area or anything like that.
Sure.
And the rest of the year is more just property maintenance, little stuff here and there. Not really like a 9 to 5 thing, I'm sure you guys kind of understand that.
Yeah.
As far as the container storage goes, those are, that's what the state requires you to store them in if they're outside. So that's permitted for any,
And he's local, he lives Valparaiso, so he's like 15 minutes from the shop as a local contact if he needs to be.
I just have a question. When you were talking about having people come in to restock their stores, now you don't do the things like you see them selling out like side of Meijer, where people are coming to get a bunch and they bring it back to you when they don't sell it.
Say that one more time.
You'll see during the fireworks season, you see them like outside of Meijer. Are you that type of or anybody can come in and take and then they bring it back to you when they don't sell it?
No, if they buy it, they buy it. They don't bring it back. They do. They will do like Kaplan's. Crazy Kaplan's. He's one of our customers. Greg Shelton.
Stores.
It's stores. It's retail stores. Yeah.
You guys think any other questions?
Is there currently a residence on this property?
No, sir.
I do worry somewhat about security. That's my holding point here, and I know you're in an area that's in zone ag, but they also have neighbors, and I do worry about security in this situation like this.
How many feet is a building off the property line going to be?
Back, isn't it?
I would say the lean-to is probably 80 feet from the property line, but structure to structure of a residential structure is, but I think he says 140 feet was what the gentleman said. We don't have technically, it's not a residential area, but there are some occasions where I spend the night. I live in Missouri, so if I come up here for like a meeting, something like this, I've spent the last couple of nights at the location. So somebody is on site on a very regular basis. Now, there's several that are there on a regular basis.
So you have 14 storage containers out there.
Correct.
And none of them are on footings or foundations. None of them are anchored down properly. What are your plans for those storage containers if you decide to keep them?
Store in them.
Well, they're going to have to be moved and foundations put under them and anchored down in order to use them. The county, that's one of the county requirements. And you've got 14 of them out there. So that's going to be kind of expensive, one of your expenditures coming up before you can be using them.
Okay.
Just so you know if it gets passed.
Yeah, the state requires me to be 10 feet from the building, and we're actually 25 feet from the building. So we went to try to, they make us have a certain separation so that it only allows, if there is a safety issue or something, that only allows a certain area to be.
But the county doesn't allow you to just put wood underneath them and use them. They have to have concrete, footers, foundation, and they have to be anchored down individually.
I'm just taking some notes.
Okay.
For Class C magazines.
Well, yeah, is that for a consumer container?
For everyone.
Any container, no matter what you store in it?
Yeah, if you bring in 2 more, they're going to have to be done the same way.
Okay.
That's county standard.
Any container?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though you inherited them, if you didn't buy them, they came with the property, they weren't installed properly. So if you want to use them, they have to be installed properly.
Okay.
And if we approve the petition, you can work with the building department. They'll give you requirements and. Okay. What other questions? If there are no further ones, I'll entertain a motion.
I hate to make a negative motion, but I move that we deny the petition for variance for Cary Hall to operate a fireworks wholesale distribution business with outdoor storage at this location.
Okay, I have a motion to deny the petition. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, so the motion and the second is to deny the petition. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good luck. Make sure you work with the building department. It passed 3-2. Okay. It passed to fail. It passed and failed. A petition for variance of developmental standards for Stephen and Patricia Evans for construction of a second home to care for an elderly parent. If you're going to keep the storage containers out there and use them in any fashion, you probably need to work with the building department to make sure they're secured.
Okay, so the building and everything for the.
I'm going to need you to get back to the microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So to operate the business and
Yes.
to store is denied.
Okay.
But I don't know what your plans are with those containers. So you want to work with the building department.
Okay, what's the appeal process?
If you get in touch with the building department, they'll give you all the details you need.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So I didn't get to finish. All right. Construction of a second home to care for elderly parent. in 1,461 square feet of living space. The property is located at 12205 South, 700 West, Wanata, Cass Township, Zoned Ag. How's our legal work look?
Notice adequate.
All right, thank you. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Patricia Evans, 12205 South 700 West in Wanata, Indiana.
All right, Patricia. So you want to create a second home, 1,400 square feet for an elderly parent?
Myself.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and explain your plans to me?
My plan is to build a second home all on one level because right now the home I'm living in has stairs, first of all, to get into the house. I think it's 13 steps up to go to the basement, which is where my laundry is. It's also, 13 steps down and up. And as I was thinking the other day, just doing a load of laundry. You take it down, you put it in and wash it. Up and down the stairs. You come back to put it into the dryer, up and down again. You take it out of the dryer, you fold it up and you put it away. That's 3 times up and down the stairs. I have hip problems and going up and down stairs is not good for me anymore. So what I'm planning on doing is my daughter is going to purchase my current home and I'm going to build another one out there all on one level so I can live happily.
Okay.
No stairs, just one level.
Oh, maybe 1 or 2 from the garage into the house, but that's it.
They can do your garage floor right even with the house floor.
And that's a possibility.
Then you won't fall.
Okay, sounds good.
Just tell your builder ahead of time.
Okay.
Do we have any remonstrators tonight, either for or against this petition? Any remonstrators? Okay, hearing and seeing none. What kind of questions for the board?
Just a point of clarification. You own the property right now,
Yes, it's got 3
and
acres.
you are going to move into this new house,
Correct.
and your daughter is going to live in the house that currently. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is she going to? Are you deeding the property to her, or what's the deal here?
I will because in order to build my house, I will have to have her purchase the one I'm living in now.
Okay. Good luck collecting. Okay, I understand the situation now. Okay.
So when you build your house, we're going to have some sort of sign put out for EMS that designates that you are in this structure. Yes. And if they're coming to get your daughter, they don't waste time coming to your house or vice versa.
Yeah,
Okay.
just make sure you get with,
Email.
if you have the fire department signs, you want to make sure it's clearly marked
Okay.
which address is which.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, we put two residences on the same property. Be aware that I will not approve these things unless, if they're going to be a rental for the future, that doesn't work.
No, it would be deeded as another as another house and bought that way. And no, never as far as rental.
Okay.
Okay. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we accept this petition.
And I'd like to amend that with that there will be no rental of the property in the future.
Understood.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay. Petition number 10 is a variance of developmental standards for Catherine Knowlton and Bryce Bannock and Ty Fulford for construction of a second home with 920 square feet of living space for the elderly mother. The property is located at 10552 West, 300 South, Westville, Indiana, New Durham Township, zoned ag on 1.137 acres.
Notice adequate.
All right. Who wants to give me their name and address first?
Hi, Catherine Knowlton, 10552 West 300 South Westville.
Okay.
L.A. Anderson, elderly mother, 333 Lakeshore Drive, Unit B8, Michigan City, Indiana.
Okay.
Mary Evett. I live at 221 Thurman Avenue, Michigan City. I'm employed by Soil Solutions, and we design septic systems. So if you have any questions about the planned septic for this property, I can answer.
Is she really going to try to put you in 920 square feet of living space? Is that all you want?
That's all. Probably that I'll be able to afford.
In the microphone.
That's probably all I'll be able to afford, because what we're doing is building a barn, and then I'm gonna live in the front half. And currently where I live, the HOA fees just jostled me with $26,500 for repurposing the outside of the home, and so I have to move. So Kate said, "Come on over, Mom."
Very good.
But honestly though, and that's funny, but she has had quite a few health issues, and you know, so just anticipating the future, we have taken care of our grandparents, you know, my grandparents in that home. So no, Vern, sir, we will not be renting anything out. The whole point for us keeping this property was for us to keep it in the family. And that's why you can see my son's names are also on the deed to the home. So we do plan on keeping it in the family.
Do we have any remonstrators tonight for or against this petition? Are you sure you don't have anything? You jumped up. Okay. I understand. All right, what kind of questions do we have as a board?
Never to talk to over here.
We're gonna come in the driveway here and put it right in.
Okay. So you're actually adding a second drive.
Yes.
Okay.
Septic system.
Thanks for answering my question, by the way, before I asked it.
And you say you're constructing a garage, so, and then you're going to live in the pole barn, so you're going to live in the front. So how big is that going to be?
It's
The whole
38
thing.
by 38 by 40 or 60, right? 38 by 40.
38 by 40.
Okay, thank you.
So is the garage house all on one elevation?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yes, so the elderly lady isn't going up and down stairs?
We do not like stairs.
Okay. We can do the same thing on the sidewalks and the entryway into the house on the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
And we strongly recommend that everything you use the 36-inch doors or wider.
Okay.
Okay.
6 inch or wider.
Yeah.
And once again, she will need her own sign out by the road, so EMS doesn't bother you at your house.
Right. Okay. Yes. Thanks for reminding us of that. Yes.
Entertaining a motion.
I would love to entertain a motion.
Okay. I move that we grant the petition for variance for developmental standards for Catherine Knowlton and Bryce. What is it,
Bannock. Mhm.
And Tideful for
Yep.
for construction of a second home for Mom.
Thank you.
The elderly lady.
That's right.
Thank
I
you.
second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much for your time.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing Mom along so we could actually see.
Yes. So nice to see Mom.
Petition for variance of developmental standards for Harold D. and Julia L. Rogers for construction of a second home with at least 800 square. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
800 square feet for the elderly parents. The property is located at 5724 West Schultz Road, LaPorte, Center Township, zoned R1B.
Notice adequate.
Thank you. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
I'm Julia Rogers at 5724 West Schultz Road, LaPorte.
Harold Rogers, 5724 West Schultz Road, LaPorte.
Okay, whose parent is going in this?
Actually, it's for us, and our children are buying our home.
Outstanding. Okay, I take back everything I said.
Thank you.
So, wow, I don't even know where to go with that. Go ahead, Ernie.
So we're gonna do a one story,
Yes. Yes.
all on one level,
One level.
no steps,
None.
sidewalks even, going right in.
Yes.
Part of the problem with the house right now is that the only full bath is on the second floor, and the only way to get there is a spiral staircase.
Oh.
And he was just diagnosed with frontal temporal lobe dementia, and so we want to stay close to home, and the kids are going to purchase our house so that he'll recognize the space.
Don't forget the 36-inch doors.
Do we have any remonstrators tonight for this petition? Let's make it official and have one of you come up and give your name and address and for the record. And
My name is Zachary Robbins, and I live at 818 East Street, LaPorte, Indiana.
and you're in favor of this petition?
Yes, I am in favor. Sorry.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
You're getting a good deal on the house, right? Is that the deal?
Part of the deal.
Yeah, huh? Who mows the lawn?
Okay.
Oh, man, caretaker. It's great.
All right. Do we have any questions from the board? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the petition for variance for developmental standards for Harold and Julia Rogers for construction of a second home not to be rented
Not to be rented.
for your use as elderly parents.
With your own EMS sign?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the petition says for at least 800 square feet.
Yes.
So is it a problem? We're talking to contractors now. So is it a problem if it was like 1,000 or
Yes.
1,080?
You need, I guess, you need to ask for what you're looking for, right?
Well, yeah, but if you go to 1,000, you're going to be in compliance with the statute code.
Right.
So
Mhm.
your variance is for a smaller house than what the code allows for. So if you go bigger, you're fine.
Okay, so that's what I
Yep.
wanted to know.
So
Perfect, thank
if
you.
we grant this, you'll be covered smaller, and larger you'll be covered by the ordinance. Okay. So I had a motion and a second, correct? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck to you guys as well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
This is a picture that I showed.
Oh. I still think you should run the string trimmer and let him mow the
That is
lawn.
very nice.
That was a picture I gave you all this.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Petition number 12 is a variance of developmental standards for Arbor Point Leasing LLC for construction of a second accessory in-ground pool. The property is located at 348 Grayson Road, LaPorte Center Township, zoned R1B.
Notice adequate.
If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Zach Krasinski, 5027 West Meritage Court in LaPorte.
All right, Zach, why don't you explain what you're trying to do?
So the variance actually says that it's an in-ground pool. It's actually considered a semi-in-ground pool. The backyard slopes off, and I want to put a pool in that would have the deck come off of the house and around the pool out there.
Is
And
part of it in-ground?
part of it is, so it's like the higher side closer to the house is mostly buried in. As it slopes down towards the other side, it's mostly not, but you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference once it's done. It'll just have deck around it.
Okay.
I had Keel and Associates come out and survey the land. I'm not encroaching on any of the setbacks, or you can see it's a little hard to see, but you can see in the light yellow or orange where the existing structure is, and then the proposed deck and pool location is in black.
Are there any remonstrators tonight for this petition?
You folks can probably also see my neighbors signed off. They're happy about, I've cleared trees so far and started to do dirt work, and they want to bring beer over and enjoy the pool too. So
You're gonna let them use the pool? Is that the deal?
I originally bought this property with the intention of leasing it. I have a long-term, not short-term, I have a long-term rental business, and I've kind of fallen in love with being out there, and I'm really planning on using it for me now.
Oh.
So yeah,
Perfect.
They're bringing the beer.
Seeing no remonstrators, are there further questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we pass this one. Petition.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. A petition for variance of use for Andrew Norris for operations of a landscape business and construction of a pole barn with a bathroom before the home for business use.
No adequate.
Property is located at 10278 South Range Road, Union Mills, Union Township, zoned ag on 2.5 acres. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Andrew Norris, 16802 South, US Highway 421, Wanatah.
Kind of goes right in there.
All right, Andrew, you want to open up shop in Union Mills?
I do.
Why don't you give us an idea of what your plan is?
Currently, I do have a LLC. This is something I kind of do on the side as far as landscaping goes. I want to be able to store my trucks, trailers, and stuff like that, my personal stuff, be able to maintain equipment there, and while I'm there, be able to use the bathroom. So.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Are there any remonstrators tonight here for or against this petition? We'll just get that out of the way. Okay, what kind of questions do we have as the board?
You're planning to build a home there in the future?
Correct.
Any timeline here?
I'd say probably in the next couple years, if I had to guess.
So will this building be behind the house?
So, originally I had something drawn up. It's all gonna attach. It's gonna like T. It's gonna T, is what my game plan would be. T to it, so it'd be all attached.
Do you think that your business will expand to the point where you will have customers or anything like that?
No, sir.
If it's land.
So what I'm saying is, if we grant you a petition, and that's the guidelines that we put into the petition would be the ones that you'll live with. So if you wanna expand on that,
No, this is just something I do on the side. I don't see it going any farther than that.
Okay.
Here, look at it. Here. Well, so do you do this all by yourself? You're the only person?
Correct.
Oh my goodness. It's a lot of work. Do you foresee having anybody working with you? I don't think that would really matter.
I do not.
In this situation.
I work at RMC for my regular job. This is just something I do, after work on the weekends, just to make a little extra money.
Okay.
Pure boredom, I guess.
I don't think I want to do landscaping because I'm bored.
Do we need to do hours of operation?
No, because he's just storing it there.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this petition.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Cool, and then I just
Good luck.
contact them.
Yeah,
from
get in
here.
touch with the building department. Thank you, and thank you for your patience, everyone.
And there's that.
And here we go.
That's what we should have started with.
Petition for a variance of developmental standards for Thomas and Laura Carter for construction of a third accessory structure shed/pergola. Property is located at 7244 West, 275 North, LaPorte, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1A on 3.5 acres.
No adequate.
It's in the bag.
Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Laura Carter, 7244 West, 275 North, LaPorte.
Okay. Laura, what can you tell me about this pergola/shed?
It's 14 by 22. 8 foot of it is the shed and 14 is the pergola, and we wanted to use it for our smoker and our Blackstone griddle.
Yeah.
So we can put it away when we're not using it and use it to grill on. Not charcoal grill, just the griddle and the smoker.
Okay.
So it's right off our patio too. So
This must be the patio.
Are there any remonstrators tonight for or against this petition? Any remonstrators? You're for it? Good job. All right, hearing and seeing none. What kind of questions do we have as a board?
Do you guys think you'd have to wait 3 hours to get a pergola approved?
No, it's been a long night.
Should we deny it just to?
Would you like to come back?
That would be mean. That would be terrible.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I second it.
Thank you, guys. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hope it was worth the wait.
It is.
Jeez.
Attorney BG, is there any other business in front of the board tonight?
I moved we
No.
Okay, they'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
Move.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night.